was there. They had a chance to pull up. I don't know. Like, it's genuinely a tough one. It's a tough call. As soon as you see that gravity plume, right, like, you know the comms are coming out from ExoClan. They will have their eyes laser focused on that. But that doesn't mean that they're going to lose, right? I think that was still potentially winnable from Alliance, especially if you're like, well, it's, it's maybe a second place if we play down bottom, but, maybe it's a first place if you take that chance and try and take them out up top.
I'm interested to see what we get now in the third and final match on World's Edge out of these teams. We talked about Team Portugal as well at the top of the show. My team to kind of keep our eyes on here today, World's Edge, is a map that they are stronger on, and we see them here at least being consistent in that sense, finding themselves here in a top 6 position. But we get an opportunity to see what happened in the kills department, and it was Cybercats and Alliance that absolutely popped off this time around.
Yeah, look at that. 8 kills for Alliance. Cyber kills. You remember they picked up 0 kills in game 1. They have flipped the script on that one to pick up 13 points here in game 2. Quite the turnaround in their fortunes.
But of course, obviously, ExoClan, our top squad here with 18 points total, so that'll be a very, very good boost for them when it comes to our overall results on the day here as we take a look at the next page. And quite the point sponge going on in the first one, because there are barely any kills to go around for any of these teams.
Yeah, look at that. It's a grim bottom half of the leaderboard there, as you point out. 5 kills, yeah, on the bottom half. That means 55 kills for the top half of this leaderboard.
Really, really a solid performance so far on the day for our EMEA teams. But we have so much more Apex Legends action in store. It's only 2 matches on the day. We have 4 more. But of course, it's time for another short break, so don't go anywhere when we return. Match number 3.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ALGS. Game number 2 in the books as we get ready for game number 3. It's been looking fiery out here. I love the legend comps that we keep getting exposed to, the diversity, and what these cryptos are doing to stay alive, but also EXO taking the dub after predicting where that final circle was going to be pulling over by Harvester. I was talking a little bit with my friend Genome here about the final circles and how they've been able to shift throughout the different seasons, and seeing those Harvester circles usually pulling out outside of Harvester, that hill is the god spot, and EXO had gotten the memo.
Yeah, I feel like some of the other directions it can go around Harvest are a little more fair. You know, if it pulls down the sort of the south end, it's a little more flat ground, but the disparity in height between that hill, especially when you've got a character that's able to lock it down like Watson, maybe even Caustic, just made it so easy for EXO to run away with that game.
And even looking at teams remaining consistent at the very least, Passion, who took game number 1 and still staying in the end game for game number 2, staying on top in the overall standings thus far. Can they do it again in our final game of World's Edge, or are they going to falter? Because then we go on to Storm Point for our final 3 games here in EMEA, and seeing some of these teams, they like to shift away from a different sort of composition. So seeing teams that can stay consistent is the key here when when you're looking at teams like Passion.
Consistency is key. They definitely do say that, Vicky. You know, even just looking at the sort of overall standings for the split in EMEA, I think that's reflected as well, right? There's quite a few teams here who have managed to stay on top, regardless of, you know, the matchups between the groups. I think I actually saw a Tiff tweet out before that Element 6 had won the previous 2 matchups of these groups, right? Groups A versus Group B. So it's interesting to see that they're really lagging behind today. It's certainly not how what we come to expect from them in this matchup.
Yeah, that's actually why I brought up E6 before. I mean, at the moment, in the total league standings in EMEA, E6 is sitting in second, where they had a fantastic day 1. Actually, in this lobby, like you mentioned, number 1 plays.
Yep.
But also, I believe it was when they had played the second time in the same lobby. Yeah, getting that back-to-back dub. Not too sure with the shift of meta where E6 is maybe lying. Maybe they haven't been able to figure out the legend comps with the different perks being implemented into Season 20 that have been able to work for them. And speaking of the different perks, I do want to highlight 2 legends that we've been seeing a lot of here in EMEA. One of them being a big throwback for me is Wraith. Seeing Wraith now being played into EMEA. I saw her a few times yesterday too. Even in NA, I was talking about Disguise. I didn't like how the Wraith infused composition was going for that specific team, but here in EMEA, we're seeing it being utilized a lot more. I mean, you got 5 seconds less on your face cooldown. You have the Sixth Sense, of course, the passive that tells you when other squads are approaching you, but it's that tactical cooldown that you want to look at. Or then you look at the second half for the purple Evo shield perks, you get that fast phase. So you have less startup on your tactical windup, 20% less specifically, or you could always have that portal online to help move your team into a much safer position. It could be a little risky sometimes though, if you don't know where teams are. Let's say you don't have a blood on your team, and you find yourself in a position where you're pinched between 2 caustic squads, especially with the amount of caustics that we're seeing in the lobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Wraith, yeah, that ultimate cooldown is definitely the one you want to be picking to, because if you take 60 seconds off her ultimate, basically it means every time the circle comes in, you do have a chance to make that next rotation safely via portal, right? And that's a big deal. And I think one of the other trends we've been seeing, Vicky, with these perk choices is you can go 2 ways, right? You can go the sort of the team support method, or you can really try and enable you as a character, as a fragger, something like that. And I think, especially with Wraith there, you really want to go the team support method.
Yeah, and then even looking at Mad Maggie and how that could play into whether you want your Wraith to play much more support to help basically navigate your team into a safe spot, or I mean, we're basically highlighting Cybercats here because this is the type of comp that they're running. The Mad Maggie. Bringing in Mad Maggie into Season 20 with these perks, you get the auto reload shotgun on Nox, very similar to what Gibby has, but it's that wrecking ball that catches fire and explodes into a big X. So basically opposite of what we see with Fuse Motherload, but instead it's that wrecking ball with the big X that could clear so much space and also take care of certain ults that different legends may put down. I know the Newcastle wall is safe. It could try to at least trigger the caustic traps. I know it could immediately tear down I believe, the rampart walls too, and then adding in the extra pressure that you could be putting onto teams that are stuck in a corner. You have to think about that drill. You could either get the big drill where it makes that drill a lot bigger, or you could get it where you get an extra drill and it's active for way longer. So you could just control so much space with the Mad Maggie in case you find yourself in a pinch. And if you're looking at the certain comp that Cybercats is running, that would come into clutch if you have your portal inside of an area that you don't like to be in, or you need to actually close in the distance with your Wrecking Ball. The Mad Maggie is right there to help taxi you.
Yeah, control space. That's actually an interesting way to put it, Vicky, because she's almost like the opposite of, say, a Watson or a Rampart, where you're controlling your own space. Mad Maggie is almost like trying to control the enemy's space, right? You're not letting them play behind cover. You're destroying some of those entry points or places that they have to hide behind with the Wrecking Ball. I think we have seen a lot more players been picking up the bigger drill rather than going for the 2 drills. But yeah, that's just one of those interesting perk choices.
All right, well, we've been waiting for our legends to load into this lobby. Let's get started, guys. Game number 3 is so close. You could taste it. We still get to see the Bangalores being utilized just as we had seen in the previous seasons, but it's the inclusion of the raids that we highlighted, the Mad Maggie that we saw from Cybercats, Horizon's pick rate actually declining with so much more happening with the Caustic, because if you take that gravity lift into the high ground and you're met with a Caustic, that Nox grenade, especially with the purple perk tree, can just cover so much space that you have to worry about.
It's pretty oppressive at this point, isn't it? And yeah, we also talked about how once you start getting a few Caustic picks in the lobby, it kind of spreads, right? It spreads like a virus. It's like so many other teams just, they don't want to deal with it. They need their own kind of entry frag or Caustic to be able to deal with it, because if you're running into that gas, you are just going to be taking so much damage, and being able to send your own Caustic in there who's immune to it makes a big difference.
It's even best when you get to see another 50-50 happening once again. It continues. Absolutely, unfortunately, doesn't pick up the weapon in time, landing on top of another enemy. Aftermath now down a man and playing in this 2v3.
40 bullets all up here for the R99. Kurev better be accurate with those. And he's, well, okay, there's one clip, and he hits a couple, but it's not looking great here for Aftermath.
Oh, those hipfire shots were not cooking, but Bavis is trying his best with 15 bullets in a dream. Do you call it here? Rotate out? You try to fight for what you can after getting the knock? Tries to bait out with the res. It's 5s on the other side. Full blue here. Is this 1v1? But again, is 15 bullets enough?
Oh, that's not many to go with. Does he need to try and grab? Okay, there's the banner just looking for some extra. You know, his teammates coming, hey, there's at least a couple of shield cells in here. I think that might have been a res we just heard. So come on, you need to push this. You absolutely cannot let him get that off.
Oh, but without the Arc Star there as some extra help, there was no other ammo, I believe, inside of this box. At least he did not pick up a gun. Tries to take some shots, plays around the crate, tries to slide off. No bullets. He can only duke it out. He can only punch him out at this point. He's doing the same thing, though. He's won. Where can he go?
We've got a boxing match here. And Ryan's trying to get the wall jump here just to catch up. Okay, it's down to your mechanics. Can you jump and slide further away? He's going to try and block him off. Takes the time to pick up the Nemesis. I think he's going to finish him off. There we go. Last
that was
bullet.
Huge.
Hilarious.
Off the gravity lift. I mean, Genome, listen, this is not the fighting game I was expecting from Apex Legends, but I'll absolutely take it with the boxing match. No Pathfinder's Arena here. We create our own arena at Overlook, and LVH with crumbs to work with end up on top, as well as have that ring console before they see where this next ring is going to be pulling, which is all the way towards the northeast, towards Countdown.
Yeah, I mean, still a bit of skyhook in as well, though. So definitely teams can, you know, take their chances here on whether they want to pull up into one of the Countdown offices or perhaps occupy one of the skyhook buildings. Honestly, it might just depend on where your team is coming from and what is available to you in terms of priority.
Getting a little bit of PTSD looking at this circle. I've seen a similar circle where it's pulled on the outskirts of Countdown and Skyhook, more like in the open by the rocks of where ExoClan is currently positioned in. And it's a bloodbath for a lot of the squads that have to exit out of Skyhook, because most of the squads like to share a lot of that building space. But then once that circle pulls uphill, you are just sitting ducks for the teams to take shots at from Countdown. Looks like 2 Rats, 1 Controller had heard of the 50-50 that's been going on for some time, and they want to get involved in since they weren't invited to the party.
Invite came a little bit late for them, but better late than never, you say. This, I feel like you often see this sometimes in the game 3s or game 6s, right? Where it's like, maybe you don't want to do this right at the start, but you surprise them in the last game on the map.
2 Rats, 1 Controller have the advantage. I mean, this is definitely a squad that we've already highlighted that has no issue bringing the heat. And with the Havoc blaring through this entire lobby, honestly, a weapon that is so strong going into this season with the adjustments and changes with the Digi, not going to be able to be on SMGs, and even adding some more recoil. Looking at the R9, 2 Rats, 1 Controller are looking to frag out, especially being still on this lifeline pick. Sends out the Arc Star, oppressing the duo that's stuck inside of this building, activated the EMP, but there's nowhere to run when you have them pinched on every corner. LVH are the second squad to get eliminated, and look at this, 2 Rats, 1 Controller having a purple, 2 blues. They're settled up nicely at the start of this game.
But we got another fight over here at the Vault Tunnel here. Alliance with effect here, actually the first to fall, but they have a portal to go through. Isn't that handy?
Looks a little suspicious. I don't know. They're standing on the other side. Sunka just trying to take a little head glitch here.
I mean, I know you can see 40% worse's tags in the background. I can assure you they're nowhere near. They're all the way back in thermal station, so they're not at risk of taking a third party or anything like that right now. Alliance just going to have to pull out after that initial knock and, yeah, look, and reset.
Hockey's has got the setup right now. He's got the gold mag on the G7, the turbo on the Havoc. Talking about the Havoc, definitely being one of the favored weapons that I've been noticing across multiple regions now. It's been nice to see as 2 Rats, 1 Controller, after the rotate, actually run to Orglis and Hungry. Coming out of the tunnels, also having the red Evo shield too. Matapi yeets the Nox grenade over to the other side after they call in the creeping barrage. I like the different positioning that they're trying to hold different angles here to try to keep them pinched, but they're playing off the other side of the fence line. They got the crack, they get the knock onto Missy. Huge advantage here, and this is a team that's also been trying to play a lot more volatile, and they're taking advantage of the position that they have as 2 Rats, 1 Controller try to run for their life.
Yeah, I mean, they're just chasing them into zone right now, or they're just going to let them sit there. Wasn't sure about that Caustic ultimate, honestly, coming out of Matafe there. It seemed very speculative. But they do get the knock in the end, so that's something. But if they don't want to follow 2R1C into the zone, I mean, where do they go next? Obviously, they've got the recon character, so there's a couple of survey beacons in front of them where they can get some information, both here in Ghost Town, but also over in Fragment East as well, that's on their way to the circle. And we'll see with this. We'll see with the zone pool, Vicky. But you might be getting. I don't know if it was your wish or your greatest fear, but we might be getting that pull underneath the Raven.
I can tell you, rank changes you a little bit, and if you see where these circles have been pulling, you can't forget them. Maybe you'll even find them in your dreams sometimes after a long play session of Apex. But taking a look at 40% worse, who unfortunately haven't really been able to put themselves on the board. For the last 2 games have definitely been struggling. This has to be the game where they find that momentum, because again, this is the last game on World's Edge before we make that transition into Stormpoint, and Shiv is separated from his team, and look who's creeping right behind him. It is Alliance.
God. Shiv, he goes up the zip line.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead.
Oh no, he's being caught off completely here. Can't even. No, actually, some good shots to cover come out from his teammates on Mirage Trois here. And they still take Shiv down, though. There you go, the 30-30 shot from Alliance. Effect coming through. They want to drop, get the finish.
Oh, this is huge. The fact that it was a Caustic that dropped down to try to get the res is ginormous with the fact that they have this building secured. They could definitely get the res, but can they get the reset with them being separated, or is Alliance going to capitalize off of the solo who has height after getting that crack?
Oh, wow. Fett, are you kidding me? Almost pumps out 100 with the alternator from below, but there we go. They do get the full finish. So now the question is, you know, can they get the rest of them as well? There goes Mandy.
As we were just talking about how they needed this, Alliance got a whiff of our conversation and decided to just put a stop to whatever could have been the potential of 40% worse. Now they have to see if they could be at least 40% better on Storm Point. Red Dragons, a team that have made that rotate now, looking to see the squads that have already found themselves in a building over by Countdown. This is Pest Control inside of here. There's also a beacon over to their left, but it's the EMP that roars out in their ears before they try to make the initial push.
EMP, such a good way to start the fight off. They've got that Caustic ult in reserve should they need it, but they don't. It's just Pest Control playing as the duo today, obviously, which means that Red Dragon, yeah, they can conserve those ultimates and use them later.
It's unfortunate too, you know, having that information from Red Dragon, especially with the EMP and seeing that it was 2 that they were able to hit off of the damage that they made. They were able to just fully send it, confident to take that fight and completely take out that duo from the building. But now taking a look at 2 Rats with controller. They are on the high ground here in Skyhook. Not too sure if they themselves have the information on where the circle's pulling, but they definitely have the shots that they're landing on the squad right in front of them. They've made quite a rotate, though. You have to imagine, actually, and navigating from Overlook all the way around from Fragment straight up into Skyhook as quickly as they could.
Yeah, well, I mean, they definitely don't have that info, right? Because they're not even playing a controller character this time. They do have the crypto there. There is 2 survey beacons available to them within Skyhook. So all of those teams running the crypto are actually going to get a really good sense of maybe not where the circle's pulling, but at least where everyone else is playing as we see it shift. Oh, it goes all the way west here. Team Portugal. I mean, you said it, Vicky. If Kashera's there, so is the zone.
They're always ahead of it, and I mean, I guess it helps when you know where these circles are going to be pulling, but Kashira's such a good IGL when it comes to calling out these final circles, and they've definitely created a perimeter. I mean, no one's a land here in this house. All the land here, I mean, for free? We take those for Team Portugal. And they're definitely not going to be moving out anytime soon, but you have to imagine with the amount of cryptos that we have in this lobby, these fences may be taken down soon, but they could also prevent other teams from taking this evil harvester that is right inside, or rather on the outskirts of this building.
Yeah, teams may come looking for that at some point if they're just about to upgrade to purple or red. Could be a free kill. We're definitely seeing some, you know, some scuffles that wouldn't have happened before over these inflection points around the map. They've also got a ring console in Lava Fissure that'll be in the zone. Potential for them to scan that and get even, you know, further information later on into the game. But we'll just have to see how many other teams start pulling up into Lava Fissure once they realize what is happening.
Well, they hear a squad right above them, and that squad also got the scan on the beacon to see where that circle's gonna be pulling. But look at the Evil Shield difference here. This is why it's so important to highlight. Each 6 has a purple, a red, and a blue. Meanwhile, it looks like the squad above them are still all set up on blue. And that's all thanks to the lifeline, too, you have to imagine. The Evil Harvester cash that they get from those care packages really come in clutch, aside from the Craver that they get, too.
Yeah, big deal. So, yeah, I'm assuming that Craver came from Slab's care pack here. Oh, the EMP isn't going to stop them pushing in and destroying 2R1C.
And that was 2R1C in the same building as 2 other squads, by the way. Full English looking to get involved potentially here, too, as they play on the outskirts of Infinity. See E6 looking down the balcony, wanting even more blood. 15 squads still left in this lobby, but I love the way that they played that, utilizing the EMP as the initiator for that push.
Oh, man. Guess who's in Godspot again?
EXO, I bet you. Oh, yeah, just look right now. Actually, they were there from the very beginning. They called it out so early. That squad has not left by the rocks, but they also are denying themselves the Evo Shield opportunity to getting whatever they need. So have to definitely take a look at that squad and see how they try to play that final circle with so many other teams fighting over here by Countdown. Red Dragon, Mind, now looking to stay on the high ground, getting right behind Red Dragon. They do not expect it. No turbo on the Havoc as he slides in. He's got the blue. Mac here. Sanka going crazy in the follow-up, getting that knock with the Prowler.
Man, nice shots there coming out. Red Dragon now. Do they really want to play this? I mean, they kind of have to win this. They can't really run away. If they get out of this as not a trio, honestly, they will get chewed up and spat out by the other teams closer to the zone.
Oh, Fito literally won. Jukes now trying to juke them over on the other side. Gets the next knock right afterwards. He is going absolutely crazy. He's getting great from a team from afar, but playing off this pillar, though, can they get the reset? Fito's literally just trying to heal up real quick. There is one knocked right in front of them. Sanka's right behind him. The fact that Red Dragons is still alive is crazy, but so is Sanka.
E6 went out as well, by the way, so that's been a horror start for them to the day today on groups A and B. But zone's closing now. Red Dragon and Mind, they've taken too long. I think both of them are probably going to get picked off by these other teams as they try and make it towards the circle here. Passion and Stay Healthy, I think, are going to have their number. ALGS and Hungry here, they've tried to move up and usurp EXO clan here from that fantastic spot that they're in, holding it with the Kraber.
Is crazy, and while they fight for their lives, so they're getting EMP. You see, kind of getting these shots with the wingman. They clean up EXO right at the very end. Let's jump into Elicited with ALGS and Hungry as they make their rotate into that final circle.
Make sure we're not getting pushed.
You watch that. We're looking left. You watch that.
Okay. Really, guys, right is close. Okay, don't do anything.
Yeah.
You got free kills.
Right.
They're raising below. They're raising below, though.
Yeah, we can end that and then come back. I'm scanning.
I think we do.
Yeah, kill this guy alone.
I need to heal.
No, chill. He shot you back. Get the kill. Come back. We have the end zone, boys. Yes, chill. Just chill now. We're really fucking good. Well fucking played, boys.
6. How many
Hi,
bats?
guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of bats. I'll give you. I'm just thinking. That team has to push us, okay?
It's the passion that I'm feeling right now, Gino. ALGS and Hungry clear this side for now before other teams make their rotate through the rocks.
Yeah, they know how big that was. We called it out. EXO in a fantastic spot, and once again, you know, they picked the right spot for the end game. Unfortunately, unlike game 2, they can't hold on to it. ANC outplayed. They've been playing the top of trials for quite a while, so that gives them a free walk into this last zone. They just have to worry about the sightlines here moving in towards ALGS and Hungry. You can see over on the western side there, Vicky, Alliance just now setting up their evac tower for a late rotate in over the mountains.
They happen to do this a lot, we're witnessing, but this time they don't get stuck on the rock. They're going to be landing right inside that next circle as Cybercats fight for their life. Yes, once again, that is a Wraith on your screen. She's got Portal as Ranches manages to get away, loses out on both teammates. Get dirty completely. 07, get eliminated in your feed. This is the bloodbath that we had mentioned. You saw that wrecking ball from the Mad Maggie. With the boost pads on the ground, Alliance landing on top of Team Portugal gets 2 knock, and they immediately get taken out. All that work inside that building just failing before their eyes, and now Hockey's trying to give them suppressed fire as they try to get effect right back up to fight. Oh my goodness, Hockey's with the shots. Can a Lucky clean up?
Doesn't quite make it. No, it's ANC outplayed, and now ALGS and Hungry are definitely getting hungry. They try and shove outplayed into the zone. They do it successfully. Passion once again have made it to the very, very late game, but they have to contend with the Kraber of Matafe.
They keep doing it. They try to capitalize. Matafi manages to try to get away, at least around the corner. Some suppressed fire from Kinda, but he's missing some of these crucial wingman shots. He needs to land these. You have to hit these. And in the very end, following up with the Bolt, ALGS and Hungry win game number 3, our final game on World's Edge.
Matafe says, you can take my players, but you can't take my wins. A first place here.
Wow, and that was off of what? Them landing by Lava Siphon, trying to go over to Overlook, making that rotate from Overlook. Very similar to what we had seen from 2 Rats with Controller into Skyhook Countdown area to fight their way from Countdown into that final circle where they finally navigated around Skyhook. It was just a big pathway for that squad, but they were absolutely looking hungry and played that so well, even inside that Skyhook building.
Yeah, I mean, the turning point, though, obviously was taking that fight with Exo Clan, right? That was pretty much all or nothing for them. And in the end, they got it all. They got the win and walked away with quite a few kills as well.
That was really big for Orglis. I believe before that game, they were sitting in 7th overall from the last 2 games. So that 3rd game was huge here as we see them with a 15-kill game, aside from the dub that they take for a final game on World's Edge. Passion still staying in the conversation in the final circle, getting 2 KP, but getting second nonetheless, even looking all the way down to Alliance, 6 KP, outplayed with 4 KP. This is a team that was still in trials basically the entire time, managing to take some shots at the teams that were fighting in Skyhook. Looking all the way down though, Red Dragon with 4 KP, even Mind with 4 KP. These are the teams that were fighting over by Countdown.
Oh, and then you know, moving on from that, who are the big names in the bottom 20, Vicky? Element 6 still down there. This time they pick up 5 kills, which is good. You know, coming into this, they had the 2nd most kills in the entire Pro League for EMEA, but they have just had an absolute shocker to start off today.
Yeah, they're getting the KP. I mean, 2 Rats with Controller, we've seen that they've been able to frag out themselves, of course, but they're getting their KP similarly to that team, but they have not been able to find the rotation safely into where they want to navigate to, whether it be on the edge of the circle or sit in final circle positioning. Now, it comes into question, is it a comp issue that they're having right now with the different perks provided to them of what they want to work with that may benefit them better? Because this is unlike E6 in a lobby where they literally got first back to back. And now they're seeing in the 2nd page here after that final game, and that was actually quite incredible to see so many other teams like Orglis and Hungary basically wipe out the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, exactly. Those teams just soaking up a lot of those points is really making it hard for some of these other teams. You know, you can't just, you know, grab a few points here and really waltz on by. You have to be performing extremely well if you want to be at the top of a lobby like this.
Yeah, and with 15 KP going to at least 1 squad, that's denying the opportunity for a lot of the other teams that may want to have a pop-off game for World's Edge before we make that transition into Stormpoint, essentially just denied from them. So that was great awareness from Orglis, and also just playing into that final circle. You know they're going to be skyrocketing in the overall leaderboards, but that's crazy to see too, Genome, that we get to kind of discuss and highlight what we could see perhaps in going on to Stormpoint and what that could change for some of these teams.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. Obviously, we've seen a good spread of legends there in World's Edge. Will we continue to see that in Stormpoint? Will it tighten up? Will we get even more available to us? Yeah, hard to predict at this point, honestly. I mean, we talked at the start of the day about how Caustic has actually bled across into Stormpoint, where previously it was more of a specialist World's Edge pick.
Yeah, and it's cool to talk about how we may see that consistency all the way through, whether it be teams sticking to the Caustic or we're going to see a shift away from that. But what has been interesting to see is not only did we highlight the rates, obviously, in World's Edge, if we could maybe see that going at the Stormpoint, or if we're going to see an increase in Valkyries, especially the teams that may land on the north side of Stormpoint because there's so much space to cover. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I want to bring back my girl Glitter here into the conversation because we have had a fantastic first 3 games here thus far in World's Edge.
I feel like everybody came to play. People are realizing that the clock is starting to tick down when it comes to how much available time is left to put themselves in a solid spot, whether that's for regional finals or whether that's they're really focusing down for LAN, because we've seen some pop-off performances from teams that were in the middle or even farther below that in the overall standings. I mean, the fact that we have had Passion in the discussion 3 games in a row, whether that's a first place or a second place finish. I mean, that type of consistency from a team that needed it, because I think they were somewhere around 17th or something heading into today. That's huge. I mean, what is it, the meta? Or what is it? What changed, you know?
I mean, I don't think so. You can see there's a very specific sort of style the Passion are playing, right? You know, really just lurking in the shadows when we get towards those end games and then popping their head out at just the right time. And I don't think that's got, you know, anything to do with the legends they're playing, honestly. Look, maybe a little bit depending on, you know, what kind of, you know, scans and stuff they have available to them. But yeah, it's been a very noticeable play style from them, because it's been the same plan game after game.
Whatever it is, Genome, it's working. Okay. Let's see if they can continue this consistency onto Stormpoint, though, or if it was just a World's Edge type thing. Obviously, though, before we get into Stormpoint, we've got lots of stuff to talk about. It's the halftime portion of our show. It's time for us to take a look back at the final circles of our first 3 matches, because we have had an insane start to today so far. Specifically, match number 1, ready to bring it. Okay, we saw that this was the finish in Skyhook over near that drill tower, and we just mentioned them, the team in the conversation with Passion. They had a phenomenal position, as did Team Portugal, where they were kind of towards the edge of this ring and waited for everybody else to make a push. And when this fight popped off where Cybercats was pushed, forced down without their Maggie, this is one of the times we didn't get to see what Maggie was going to bring to the table. It was just easy pickings at the end here. Passion was able to let everybody else kind of have those final fight moments, move in on Team Portugal after they had pushed into 2R1C. Everything was going down, and this was a great start for Passion. But then heading into match number 2, Genome, things got even better.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the most straightforward games you'll see, right? EXO up the top there, all the way set up with their Watson. And this was that crucial point, right? Okay, Effect throws out the gravity lift. Were they going to go up? I mean, okay, so they're getting EMP'd. They're getting bang ulted. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the reason they didn't want to go up, because obviously once your aim gets stunned by MP, you're also losing 50 shields across the board for your team. You're at a severe disadvantage. So I guess I can understand why they may not have wanted to take on ExoClan in that moment, but that also does pretty much just guarantee them a second place. Oh, sorry. Well, it was the 3rd place here, so...
Listen, then we move on into match number 3. And we get consistency out of some of these teams again. We got to see something out of Alliance here. Team Portugal in that kill feed, also up here in these top spots. But at the end of the day, Vicky, talk me through these final moments.
It was so much chaos. So you could see that why the Bloodhound's being utilized a lot more often, with the fact that we're seeing a more Caustic and Bangalore. But Orlis and Hungry were absolutely hungry with the way that they approached that circle coming out of Skyhook, but with the way that they were also holding different split positioning, even with Matafe having 2 players on top of him. That was 2 players that had to split their focus from a team fight, leave their solo behind them, and that just allowed Kinda and Tyler to enable them to clean up what was the solo that was left all the way on the other side, which was the Caustic. Easy pickings for them, and with a huge game at that, 15 KP in the pocket aside from the dub has allowed them to elevate themselves in the overall standings after 3 games alone.
I mean, 15K is wildly impressive, and now they're sitting in a very comfortable 1st place spot, only 1 point above Passion with their insane consistency here today. But as we take a look at the rest of these series results so far, Genome, who's jumping out at you?
I mean, Passion have 30 placement points right now as the makeup of their 41 points overall. That is one of the most insane stat lines that I have seen. I mean, I think up until this point, Passion were running at 45% of their points were coming from placement. Were coming from placement. So the fact that they're getting 75% today is unreal.
This, like I said, we've seen some really, really strong performances for some of these teams. On the flip side of that, Vicky, you've got 2R1C, who's getting a lot of their points from their kills instead of their placement points. They've been super aggressive so far today.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how kill heavy at the top end of the overall standings is sitting. I mean, even looking all the way down to Alliance, who still remain in the conversation of top 3, even including a new player into this roster where they feel very comfortable where they're standing and the way that they approach these final circles. But then I want to focus on the second half of the lobby. We talk about E6 a lot because E6 was the first placing team both times that we've seen these lobbies meet up again in the past. So the fact that they're on that second page, still in 11th place with 9 KP, they're getting the kills, but they are dying on rotation. So we have to see if that could present themselves in a better format in Stormpoint.
Yeah, definitely some teams here, they're going to be looking to make a big concerted push come the next 3 matches, whether that is a map that they happen to do better on versus World's Edge, or a team that just needs to get some points on the board. I mean, I know we keep saying there's a little bit of time, but I feel like I blinked and we've already finished 3 matches. I don't know what happened, where the time went, but these teams don't have a lot of time left, whether that's today or just one more match day after this for at least Group A, if I'm not mistaken. So we gotta put some pep in the step, okay? I'm excited to see what they can do here on Stormpoint. But you know that we always also have something for all of you at home, and today is no different. All right, you can tune into any Apex Legends stream right now with drops enabled, and you will earn holo sprays while you watch your favorite streamers all season long. Now, you notice the drops will change every 2 weeks, so at the end of it all, you can end up with 6 new holo sprays. You gotta tune in, make sure you're earning those rewards because they are really, really cool. I can't even choose which one I like the best. It might be Valkyrie, I don't know. They look fantastic though, Vicky. Genome, we've got to keep this thing rolling, which means it's time for you to take a break or a nap, whatever you prefer. You know, just give yourself a little bit of a respite, okay? We'll see you back here in a little bit. For now, it's me and Vicky. We're looking towards Stormpoint. We talked about it. We've got to see what our teams can bring to the table here this time around.
And with a new map comes in a potential different 50-50s, although Cybercat does like to split their loot between Coastal Camp and Echo, so we're not really expecting too much chaos to ensue in that area. But we do have each of our teams landing in their respective POIs, and with the perks coming into play, the Valkyries that we've been seeing in these lobbies too, you have to imagine how that skyward dive crosses so much distance on a map like Stormpoint, especially if your goal is to get the Cossack or taxi the big boys. I mean, even in NA, we saw Optic playing Gibby and Cossack and Valkyrie. If that's the end goal here, you have a Cossack on your team like we have been seeing, and like what Genome said, we've been seeing, especially on Stormpoint still, even out of World's Edge, then that may be the angle for some of these teams that want to prioritize those rotates.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be keeping our eyes on quite a few squads here. Also, LVH and Aftermath, we watched how that contest was going for them all through World's Edge, something that they don't have to worry about here on Stormpoint. So maybe an opportunity for them to get some more points on the board with a little less early game pressure, you know?
Okay. Gonna take a look at the legend compositions in just a minute here while our teams get settled in their POIs. What I've been really excited to see so far, Glitter, is the different race lifelines. Will they still be used here in this lobby? And I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me or if Mandy's just had it, but 40% worse. Maybe bringing a Pathfinder to the table. We'll have to tune into them later because they definitely need to see some signs of life after their lackluster performance on World's Edge. LVH at least doesn't have to worry about a 50-50 happening over here, but in the outskirts over by the north side of Stormpoint here, looking at Northpad, Mind and Team Portugal make their way around each other.
Definitely close. We'll have to see if either team is feeling a little spicy after the performance here on World's Edge. I see that Pathfinder, so we'll have to see what's going on with that. You were asking about lifelines. We're still getting some lifelines being brought in here as well, which I love that we're starting to see lifeline being brought back into the meta. I think that she's actually, after yesterday, proven to be very useful for these squads as we get a look here at where the first zone's going to be. Cold looking so comfortable at command center right now, but also remember However, this means that they're going to have to find time and opportunity to run out, grab that Evo Harvester, hit those bins if they can, get some of their shields leveled up, because if they sit still, they'll be so much less protected than the rest of those teams rotating in.
Yeah, and that's why the lifeline is so important too, right? Like you mentioned, not only do you get those Evo caches out of your care package, but you could potentially even get a power weapon while you're at it too. So, when you're trying to play for whether you get blessed by the circle or in that final circle positioning, that care package could definitely come in clutch. Mine is going to be able to also clear up some of these prowlers, which also gives you some more Evo shield charge. And you could even see it played out right here, whether it be the Prowlers, the Flyers, or even the Spiders. You got your own little mini objectives to take care of on Storm Point, which also allows these teams to have a much better fighting advantage when it comes to the start of these fights on Storm Point specifically.
Yeah, it's a very different situation here. Obviously, those being unique to Storm Point, and we can see Team Portugal. All right, dang. Just a little peek and a little shield crack there, being as annoying as possible against Mind there for Team Portugal. So we'll have to see what they're able to do as they kind of coexist in the same area. It's because there's an Evo Harvester over there that they know, both those teams want. But Aftermath trying to make a little bit of a drive-by work in their favor, taking tons of damage, trying to throw down that smoke and get a little bit of cover here. But they find themselves in a rough spot, being chased down right now.
Well, when you're zooming right through Stay Healthy, they want some of the heat here, and they take some shots. They're still playing off that slight low ground, though, leaving Mexico isolated, actually, in the smoke for right now before trying to meet up with the rest of the team, while Aftermath says, all right, well, our priorities are in trying to get whatever Evo Harvester we can get. And there was one on the north side of where Aftermath is currently headed towards. But you can imagine other teams, especially by wall command center, probably want the same Evo cache. So we have to see how more of these teams try to fight for that Evo charge. While we take a look at Barometer, some of these teams with an evac tower. ExoClan down a member, looking to maybe go into the replicator to see, well, they're even a replicator. They haven't been able to recover his banner, and they don't have a support legend, so there is no coming back from this.
That's definitely going to be a bit of a rough spot for ExoClan. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2R1C that just kind of went a little bit wide on their rotation, decided to push ExoClan, see if they could ruin their day. They definitely put them on a back foot here. As you're saying, they're now going to be forced to exist as a 2 and completely change the way they're going to now push through into the next circle. 07 finding themselves going up against Cold here inside of this command center. And we knew that this could have potentially been rough for Cold because they want to hold it, but also everybody else needs to find some place to coexist. And right now, they've done a good job on blue shields and keeping everybody away from them. These caustic barrels are going to be huge in that zoning, able to push through the smoke. Nice shots coming out of Graceful, making the move onto Bloodhound, but does go down, and now Cold are a duo.
The fact that Amphy still got that knock is crazy, even with the initial push right there with the caustic Nox gas. JMW is the last one alive on the other side. You can see the pings going out. What is he going to do? Do you navigate away, take your loss? I mean, seeing the fact that Nags and Natsuki is pretty healthy here with those Evo shields, he realizes that this is unwinnable, is just rather navigating away and retreating instead of trying to push into a 2-man.
I think that was just a little bit of bad timing, bad coordination there on behalf of Cold, as it looked like Graceful was the only one that made that move up. But now it looks like 07 have some decent space, only have to worry about a solo on behalf of Cold, while Cybercats are starting to make their rotations, checking through this wall here if they need to worry about anybody in Jurassic. They know that there is one squad across the way, and they are going to have to make a choice soon because they don't want to get pinched here between anybody else.
Not at all, especially being right here by Jurassic. You're looking behind you at Pylon in case anybody wants to late rotate in. You see that quick scan, less than 5 seconds perk on the board here for Ilonzi. This is one of the teams also rocking the Valkyrie, by the way, so they will be able to get information if they take the Skyward Dive or even an evac tower overhead by any of the squads that may be in the middle of rotating. LVH, one of the teams that are slow rotating because they want to prioritize a survey beacon, see where other teams are right now, while also being able to boost up those Evo shields.
much healthier LVH there, and they've got a little bit of space to play with. They're right on the edge of the next circle, so they've got some space and time and not too many teams to worry about. Red Dragon Jukes down to almost no health, able to get the bat off and get the shields back up, but they are also down to a 2, trying to hold off across the way. Mine go down in the kill feed. Now we're down to just Fitude here for Red Dragon, trying to make an escape here while getting those heals off. At least able to give himself a little bit of space, but that's definitely not what they wanted to happen.
Hey, at the very least, the third party may have helped him get away just in time, hiding behind the bamboo tree right in front of him. But those prowler shots, unfortunately, were just not hitting for him. So he was unable to give some suppressed fire and trying to maybe get a reset going. But right behind him, you can see Stay Healthy, Infinity, Aftermath over to the other side. More of these teams are going to be rotating from the wall side, looking at Alliance and Team Portugal that are just about to meet. But it's this circle. Command Center with 07 taking that fight against Cold has now set them up in a great position on the outskirts of Command Center, but mostly looking at the teams that are going to be forced to travel uphill, looking like Stay Healthy, Passion, playing on the outskirts of that Command Center, closer to the Spider Den area.
A little bit of an overview here. We've got Alliance going up against Team Portugal. Both teams keeping each other in their sights right now, not wanting to force too much action up at the wall. I believe there's one other team up on the other side of Team Portugal as well, on the other side of wall. So they're kind of finding themselves in the middle of everything, just taking their time here. Meanwhile, 2R1C slow rotating. They've got loads of space here on the map, which is giving them an opportunity to at least get those evos nice and healthy. Same situation with ANC outplayed. They're now on purples and looking quite comfortable.
Oh, they heard something. They know that there was a team right above them. They set up a caustic trap right behind them by the zip line, and they're just going to rotate away. Yep, that's going to be Team Portugal once again waiting on the high ground, but wondering here if ANC knew that they have blue evo shield. Still would have been risky. I mean, even looking at LVH right behind them, they actually got away just in time. But as they make this rotate, Aftermath is playing on the edge of where this circle is going to be pulling, so they will be met with another team soon. Fighting now on the outskirts of Command Center. It's E6 that have taken this building up on the north side of the zip line. Over on the other side of that, see Alliance inside of the building over by wall. They will have to leave wall eventually for this next circle, with 3 other teams meeting them on the other side of where wall is.
They've got a little bit of time here to play with, as they are on the slower side of this zone collapse, but they will have to make a move soon. They're trying to figure out what exactly is safe. I don't know if they realize that one of the teams across them is a duo in pest control. They're playing that a little bit safer, but they're going to have to make a push here. ANC outplayed in a choke right now with LVH, having a little bit of back and forth as well. Potentially going to try and take this as the beast of the hunt is popped.
Oh, the Spiders are trying to give them at least a little bit of covers here. Sometimes it be your own. It's not just the players like to worry about, but it's also the Spiders on the map. Dax now trying to get into position, trying to avoid the Arc Star, using the caustic barrels as a makeshift shield, but is in a good spot where his teammates could cover his back just to give him some suppressed fire. If this team does decide to overextend here, LVH see a team flying right above their heads. They turn around and decide, maybe we should try to take this squad that's uphill, or are we gonna wrap around that next choke that is to their north? There's another fight happening over here as SPS get caught in it.
This is the Team Portugal you were talking about, all on blue shields. Now everybody fighting inside of this storm. Aftermath doing a good job at least taking out some people, but everyone taking big chunks of health damage right now, having to back off and try and get these heals, at least on behalf of LVH, maybe regretting moving back into the storm and having to continue this engagement. You can see it's LVH. Team Portugal are now out. Aftermath decide to escape, and it was looking like ANC Outplayed might try to move in as well. Alliance, having finally made their move in, have to keep everybody in their sights. That will be Pest Control. One of Pest Control going down at the hands of Alliance. They've got a little bit more space now, and they are 3 versus a rat when it comes to having to continue moving in.
Where did that solo go? He's still next to
She's
them.
right. I don't know.
There's so many spots on the side of Stormpoint that you would just never expect. Oh, taken to the skies, LVH just cannot catch a break with these rotates. This is a good example and why to highlight how early rotates just really help out when you're running a composition like this, especially with the Cossack. They are paying for it now as outplayed Pincham on the other side from another squad that was shooting at them from Cascade Falls. That is Orgless and Hungry with those 30-30 shots ringing in the air. But Andy Jax has found himself in a crevice here with the rest of his team, and they're here and they're happy with it, with the Replicator being right next to them. If they need to get any bats or med kits, looking at Willem, who's only got one syringe left.
We also saw that Alliance was able to find that solo on pest control in the kill feed. So now Alliance has cleared out a little bit of space around them. They are sitting a little bit more comfortably as Orgless and Hungry continue just to kind of be watching the peripheral. They too will have to making a move in here in just a few moments. So they're trying to see who they can push through in order to do that. Looks like there might be Cybercats flying overhead as Orgless makes their move. And yeah, that is Cybercats. They have now flown past them, trying to find some safe space to coexist. But Elonzi taking lots of damage on the landing. Cybercats now down to just ranches as they are taking so many hits from everyone around them.
But the double time coming in clutch as Ranches gets you some cover for right now. Outplay get eliminated in your feeds here. I'm saying Hockey's with this Mozam. It has been cooking up in his hands here. Sees the crypto drone. Unfortunately, though, does not have the turbo, so he still has that wind up here with 14 squads left trying to get uphill while these other teams exiting out from the outskirts of Cascade are trying to fight for their lives. 40% worse, right on top of Orgless and Hungry, who are playing off that low ground. And Glitter, you wanted to see it in action. Here it is, 40% worse that have only secured one single point so far. I mean, that zipline isn't gonna go that far, but he's at least on top of this team that's right below them.
I want to see the mobility, okay? We've got Feast of the Hunt popped, and they're about to make a move here, so let's jump in real quick and see what their comms are doing.
Smoking the right side. We never kill these guys.
Nice, the blood will die.
They're dying.
100 HP in blood.
Nice.
Or 10 HP in blood.
You guys can stick me later. Just play your
Yes,
spot.
we can. I'm gonna go first banner. I'm putting mob reds down for you before you don't need to. No, we do. You can just plug him in, okay? Plug him in, man.
Yeah, I will.
Oh. Just alive. No, I'm dead. I'm dead. I can't. I got Kraber too. What the fuck? No. From the side. They might push you. Unzip. Oh my bad.
I can't.
Oh, nice try.
Oh my god.
Kraber. I got Kraber too. I'm just dying from.
Nice try, Mendy.
My smoke was
Good.
bad on the right. Like.
Okay, listen, Vicky, I know they didn't win that engagement, but those shots at the end there were nasty.
Man, so close here. E6 now so close to losing themselves, but Slap with the hemlock takes out 07. That heady was crucial here. It navigates away with the lifeline being the lifeline that they need to maintain placement points. 2 rats, 1 controller though now get to move in and scoop up all the loot at their feet as if Christmas came early.
See, this is what happened when 07 took the good spot off of Cold. Everybody pushes in for it, and now there's just more teams trying to get inside of that side of Command Center. Meanwhile, Orgless and Hungry have to make a move in, and they run into Passion, a team that has been in top 2 all day so far when it came to World's Edge. Orgless and Hungry, though, just coming off of a win with really high KP, so this should be a good fight.
Well, Kinda's got the wingman. Don't let us down this time. We were looking at those shots. They came out on top, but those wingman shots, a little sus. Is he's just trying to hold a little head glitch over to the side. They see that they're rotating over on the other side of the boulder, so they decide to take the high ground here, but this is a much better spot to hold for Orgless and Hungry as long as they clear this side.
We'll have to see how that ends up playing out for them. Meanwhile, we've got Alliance still trying to battle it out in this area. Now they're up against Infinite and down to a 2. Hacky's no longer able to help, but Unlucky and Effect both on Reds doing a fantastic job here, maintaining some space for all these squads, making them look nice hits with the Valkyrie. That is a huge opening here for Alliance to move in the smoke, really helping them here as well. And Stay Healthy goes down at the hands of 2 on Alliance.
Love the follow from Unlucky right there. Effect with the entry frag with the missile storm helping them out. Has better jetpack handling too, looking at that second perk here. Unlucky trying to give suppressed fire as Orgless and Hungry see the opportunity to single one out from Alliance. Misses out on that Kraber shot. Only 2 bullets left here. And Alliance get eliminated. 6 squads now left here.
Still a great run on behalf of Alliance. Orgless and Hungry continuing to just kind of steamroll through anybody that's in their path. Now trying to close in on the rat from Cold. I misspoke. I thought Cold had somehow died already. JMW is playing the most epic game of hide and seek right now, Vicky.
Actually, how? Actually, how does he fit there? It's the bang too, so like, you're swifty with it. All right. Well, Orgless and Hungry would have not expected that. Can you imagine if they just randomly just scanned in that direction? That'd be unlucky.
No. I mean, he's not in a terrible position. He's right on the edge of the next ring as well. Could potentially just kind of sneak in, and no one's looking that way, so they might not even think to pay attention to that space anymore. Like you said, as long as he doesn't get scanned, might be able to get some more points on the board for Cold, as 2R1C now have this high ground and are trying to throw some nades down, see what they can do. ExoClan go down. 2R1C looking the way of Orgless and Hungry, who is across from them, as well as the full English, trying to manage both of these teams right now.
You're micromanaging everything. They're looking like chameleons. One eye on one team, the other on the other, over to the left side. While Orgless and Hungry try to keep 2 rats at bay. Full English as a full man squad still looking over to see how they want to approach this uphill. This is why the command center area was so important to hold, even if you're denying yourself a little bit of Evo shield here. But Orgless and Hungry have been fighting non-stop. 11 kills shared between the whole team before they fully send it onto full English. This is the green light now for Orgless and Hungry to just clean up on aisle 3. They take another game, this time on Storm Point. Back-to-back wins for Orgless and Hungry.
That was a very, very strong win for Orgless and Hungry as well. Like I said, we caught them time and time again, rolling through teams, whether they were in a choke or they were third-partying situations. They looked so clean and confident. And I don't know if you saw, Vicky, when we were on the overhead, Tyler went back over to where JMW was ratting, lost all of his shields for it. JMW punished him, but they did end up finding him hiding in those plants to take out the lone rat from Cold. I mean, that was a fun ending.
That was really good too, and even better for Orgless and Hungry. Did they just get 15 KP all over again, like with the dub on top of that? Orgless and Hungry, they came and they conquered, and that's with them, I believe, rotating from Pylon. So what a rotate from Pylon on the south side all the way up from Cascade. They wrapped around Cascade like we saw through Spider Cave area, where they were able to play more on that lip uphill. They knew that side was already clear. So those rotates, aside from the fact that they were also cleaning up the lobby, once again proves Orgless and Hungry as they take another dub. That was a big game for this team. And before they won the last 2 games, they were sitting in 12th place overall after the first 2 games on World's Edge. So they have just settled pretty comfortably now, probably in first.
They just looked like they have figured out their team flow. They were working as a unit, pushing all together when they were going to make a concerted push or backing off at the right times. They moved through the dead zones of that final ring really, really well, found themselves some space to work with, and just looked so solid. The fact that I didn't even realize it was 15 kills, Vicky. The fact that they had back-to-back wins with 15 kills, I mean, that's insane. That's a performance that will keep them at the top of this leaderboard for the rest of the day. I feel like that's crazy.
And what's nice to note is that in the overall standings, Orgless and Hungry was a top 5 team. I believe they were in 4th. So they've been ramping up. They didn't have the best last Pro League day that they had played in, which was groups B and C. And now they have just been full sending. New season, new look. And Orgless and Hungry is just looking to just not be Orgless or Hungry anymore, I guess. I mean, they're hungry for kills, but they are just looking to stay on top. Yup, 15 KP, but that doesn't mean we can't see all the way in the bottom. Alliance with 13 KP themselves, splitting some of that just kills here for the rest of the lobby. I mean, leave some for the rest of us here. 2 rats, 1 controller. finish in second with 4 KP, full English, playing off the side there with the crypto we saw finding themselves with 2 KP. But JMW did what JMW needed to do, which was get those placement points, sitting cold in 4th.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they got caught in the situation that they were in, even if they had survived that fight against 07, we saw what then happens to 07 when everybody else tried to push in and take that spot in command center. So there was no guarantee that Cold would have been able to hold that even if they hadn't lost. That was a rough spot. So JMW, like I said, did a really good job there, at least getting some points on the board for the squad. 07 getting some nice KP because of that early game fight with Cold, able to kind of clean a few more up after that. But the 2-point sponges of Orglis and Hungry and Alliance left literally no crumbs for anybody else on this second page to try and pick up. So we continue getting through our matches. There's less and less opportunities here. Our teams need to try and have strong performances in the last 2 matches of the day, but we get an opportunity here to take a look at the kill leaderboard as well. Tyler up at the top with 17, followed very closely by that new addition to Alliance, Vicky, in Unlucky. Talk about making sure you prove why you're there.
It's actually crazy. I mean, Tyler is always such a heavy fragger. 17 kills, though, with Unlucky being right there, 14 kinda. It's the fact that you have all 3 members of Orglis and Hungry in this top 5 here to really highlight the performance that they've been bringing to the table for today. And we want to see more of this. With 2 more games left, Glitter, what could go down here for the teams that really haven't been able to pick up any scraps because there just simply isn't any kills for them to pick up in the rest of the lobby?
I cannot wait to see what is going to happen here right now. Like we mentioned, though, Orglis and Hungry, after those 2 performances, untouchable at the top and almost a 50-50 split between their placement points and their kills because they've been so consistent when they've been doing well. So they're now finding themselves 69 points. Almost, no, yes, Lauren, do math the right way. More than 20 points of passion, Vicky. This is impressive.
More passion has definitely been brought in from this team too, because they've been consistently in the top 5 during World's Edge. But Stormpoint, we got to see this team keep performing, or Alliance is going to slowly creep their way up and surpass them, tying themselves up with 44 points apiece. 2 Rats from Controller, another team that has no issue fragging out themselves. But Orglis and Hungry, there's just such a big gap between themselves and the rest of this lobby right now.
Yeah, these last 2 matches are going to mean a lot for some of our teams. But before we get into them, it's time for another short break. And when we return, more Stormpoint action coming at you.
welcome back everyone to the ALGS. It's been non-stop action here in EMEA. I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm joined with Gino once again. Hope you enjoyed your little break, maybe 5-minute nap or something, but hopefully you got to take a look at the action because we had non-stop action for our final circle closer to Command Center on Storm Point. It's been fun to watch how the games have been able to play out so far, but it's even more fun to see how the teams have been able to readjust with these different legend comps if they're bringing them out to the table for Storm Point, or we get to take a look at teams like ALGS and Hungary who are just absolutely dominating thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to miss them taking out the back-to-back there, Vicky. It's really coming home strong here for ALGS and Hungary. And, you know, we were sort of talking at the start of the day about how Alliance have sort of adjusted to the new team changes that they've made, but obviously losing one of the biggest fraggers in the entire league. Oh, doesn't seem to matter to Matafe right now. He's still making it work. The calls that he's making are still the right ones, and they put themselves on top of the lobby by more than 20 points. You know, probably wrapped up a first place here. That's incredible for ALGS and Hungary. They're almost certainly on path to make it to LAN.
Yeah, if you guys are hungry, just like ALGS is right now, if you think that the Apex action ends today, well, guys, you couldn't be more wrong because we have the EMEA and NA Challenger Circuit Finals tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. CEST, kicking off with our very own Dia and Graceful for EMEA, and then NA at 6 p.m. Pacific time with Tom and TMT Church. So definitely make sure you check it out at twitch.tv/versus_GG, and obviously a huge thanks to our friends over at Versus GG for putting that show on for us. It's been a good time, so non-stop Apex action for you guys to take a look at if the ALGS is not enough.
Nah, man, Graceful's like the nicest guy. Actually, I say that. He's with Dia. Dia is the nicest guy. Graceful is maybe the second nicest guy, but that is just going to be the most delightful cast.
Yeah, whenever I think about Graceful, all I can think about, Genome, is our time in the green room back at Champs, where he was just pelting devs with all the questions of the world. It was great. It was, you had to be there. It was quite an experience. Graceful being able to take us to the Challenger Circuit is going to be an amazingly enjoyable experience. And speaking of Graceful, they were able to just get fourth, by the way, in that last game that we saw JMW ratting it up on Bangalore, hiding in between a flower, if that's what you want to call it, over by Storm Point. But it's about those placement points that come in clutch. Yes, they didn't get the KP, but every point counts here for teams that are running out of time and putting themselves on the board for the overall leaderboard in the region.
Yeah, because Cole was 17th coming into today, I believe, which, you know, obviously doesn't give them a lot of leeway to try and make sure they're still involved in that regional final. And, you know, I call it a golden ticket, right? As long as you can make it into that regional final, you've always got a chance to take out the match point victory and therefore catapult yourself into LAN, even if you're too far behind, you know, lagging behind the discussion to maybe make it in through the top 8 slots.
Yeah, it's a lot here for some of these teams. Even a good day like looking at ALGS and Hungary could help you stay safe in the top 7, so that way you don't feel threatened to being regulated or having to play through the Pro League qualifiers out here, and just basically wish or hope that you could finally make your way through. But taking a look at the map schedule right now and the teams that we're about to see going on to Storm Point once again, match number 5 is coming up shortly. 2 more games to go, Genome. 2 more games for some of these bottom end teams to secure the KP and the points that they need to find themselves in that safe spot.
I mean, I guess the other thing we also have to touch on here, Vicky, is they've also opened themselves up to the possibility of a bonus point here, right? 2 wins on the board right now, and they've done it early in the series as well. So now they have another 2 maps to try and grab 1 more win, which equals 1 more bonus point.
That is such a good point, too. Yeah, especially these 2 games. I mean, if they keep playing the way that they have, they've absolutely been able to figure out something here that has made this team much more cohesive and consistent. The most consistent that we've seen this team, honestly, thus far. But they've always been on the top end here in this region, always being able to find the KP that they need. But the back-to-back wins here with the KP that they've been able to find themselves with has just been crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because they haven't necessarily always performed at LAN, but when it comes to the EMEA region, it feels like Matafe and, you know, whichever merry band of men he's leading at that particular time and that particular split always seem to end up somewhere towards the top.
Yeah, taking a look at the lobby and the Legend Select here too. Nice to see that Mandy is still sticking to the Pathfinder. I believe in the faith here that he's got, at least with the rest of his team. But all eyes on 40% worse to at least get another point on the board before we dive into match number 5. But again, it's highlighting the fact that we're seeing most of the Bloodhound, Bangalore, Caustic compositions, and you highlighted it best, Genome. It's not even just on World's Edge where you get to secure some of these buildings or final circles with the Caustic. It's here on Stormpoint too.
Yeah, but not only that, I think we just saw Matafe and crew pick up the lifeline there, Vicky.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, Orgulous and Hungry bringing out the lifeline. Bloodhound and Bangalore sticking to where they've been landing here too. But you already know, with the momentum that they've built up for themselves in the last 2 games, they're absolutely feeling themselves.
I have no doubt of that whatsoever. That's that's a fun one. And I mean, gosh, you know, I think it's past round 3, if you're spawning that care package, it's a 100% chance to get a care package weapon, right? If it's in round 1 or 2, but like honestly, you know, it's hard to get purple shield, get that level 3 upgrade, and also have your ultimate up by that point. So I think most of the time you will see them drop down the care package. It will already be at the point where you are guaranteed one of those weapons.
You know what's also pretty nice to note is that with Orgulous and Hungry landing in Pylon, there's that ultimate accelerate tower that's also right there. So they just get a free lifeline care package off the rip while being able to get everyone's ult online in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's something they could take advantage of right there from their POI.
Yeah, it's not something you think about a huge amount, right? But you know, if you're playing at the Pylon, then yeah, damn, why not? You know, in previous times you could have auto upgraded an armor. Of course, it's not quite the same here. Oh, is that a gold mastiff they just got to pick up? Nice. Let's go stay healthy.
Oh, and we are moving all the way back to the north side, but instead of us moving to the west, we are moving slightly over to the east. Potentially seeing a lightning rod circle on the outskirts of the high ground, closer to command center here, and full English is going to take advantage of the evil harvester that's right there. But this is going to be an interesting rotate, looking at the southeastern squads, looking at Orgulous and Hungry, who maybe rotate through Jurassic Park, or if they want to keep finding themselves in more of these fights, even try to take a fight over to E6, who haven't really been showing up in this lobby like they have previously.
No, not at all so far. It's been struggle street for them. That is, that's for certain. Pest control here. They are currently behind Passion. I don't know if they're actually looking to try and take a fight here, maybe catch one of them off guard. They probably just want to grab that Evo Harvester up ahead and get themselves to that blue armor and at least get some kind of perk online.
Fortune still having to play at that disadvantage. Here, Trident in the distance, zooming around. 07. Actually, try to see if they could take this fight to pest control would be crazy. Just trying to call out the duo that's there if they could clean up any extra points. But it's also the evil harvester that's also in Cascade if they could take advantage of it. And you're going to be seeing while we make our plays in Stormpoint, much more of these teams take advantage of the wildlife, right? The prowlers, the spiders. This is how you're going to get extra points aside from scanning the survey beacon and the control beacons too.
Yeah, the pro players have actually had to learn quite a lot. And I think in the last couple of weeks since those changes, Vicky, as mine take this gravity cannon, they scan. There's no one in front of them. They may not realize they've just gravity cannoned over stay healthy. So they might have to actually watch their backs. But okay, look, we can get into the technical discussion later because Pest Control are taking on 07 in the middle here. But of course, this is duo, so that's a pretty quick cleanup.
Yeah, they were chasing after them for quite some time too. Right behind Cascade Falls, they got information on the ring, they got the Evil Harvester, and they also got KP while they're at it. So 07 feasting a bit here at the very beginning of this 5th game. 40% worse. Need to show up here. Sentinel in hand, and with a nice little headshot, gets the 126 and the crack. He is zooming around, being the sole Pathfinder in this lobby with that grapple. But getting to see Exoclan that have the high ground here.
I'm also just noting those legend picks up the top there, Vicky. Now, you know, I was saying we'd seen up to 85% Bangalore. Actually, honestly, like it was closer to 100% in some of the situations if you take out the single or duo teams we had. But over here on Storm Point, we've seen it tick up from 50% on World's Edge to 80% pick rate now on the Bangalore here for EMEA. So obviously that one definitely is a little map dependent.
And what's interesting too, I mean, you have to imagine with Storm Point, you have much more of that open space when you're trying to cross open ground. And if you're taxing along a caustic, you have a big hurt box, so you're much easier and prone to getting hit here. As 40% worse, still take some shots at EXO. They're getting away on the Trident for now, but it's prioritizing that rotation, while 40% worse also make their rotate over by that choke right in front of them, closer to Spider Cave.
There's like 4 or 5 teams in Tridents right now, just zooming around the south side of the map, actually. Bit of a racetrack out there.
Ooh. Oh, did not.
That was a fat finger. That was a fat finger.
Whether it was a fat finger or like still confused of the legend that they were on in that last game on Worlds, or rather previously on World's Edge, because they did make the swap here. Maybe seeing if they have to get away in time, but it's okay. You will be able to charge that up just as quickly. The Skyward Dive doesn't take too long to come in. While EXO also trying to get away here from 40% worse. I'm surprised they actually turned around to still find 40% worse when they were trying to move right back towards the circle.
Getting sieged inside Bamboo there. Take some shots in the car. They'll get out and try and reset here, but you can see just using those smokes to try and find cover. They're gonna have to pop the med kits before too long, but 40% worse are going to stay in the zone here to try and kill them, but they grab the gravity cannon out. One down.
Actually gets the res here, like the little body block from Thorfinn, just in case before they try to run into that next circle. Do they have the meds is the question. I mean, we see that Fricks does here. He's got 1 med kit, 4 syringes. But how long do you want to play outside the circle? It looks like only 2 syringes for the player who had gotten knocked. As we see 40% worse try to chase out behind EXO, we get to see the overhead of where the circle is going to be pulling. Again, it's going to be pulling much closer to Lightning Rod, so Alliance is going to be sitting pretty, especially with a beacon right next to them, the survey beacon specifically, to let them know where everyone may be rotating if they haven't hit it already. In case they did hit it early, they could just get those early Evo Shield points. E6 also trying to call out Cold from the edge of the circle here, but more of these teams we were talking about from that southeast, southwest side now, going to be rotating into that next circle, taking some of that circle damage.
Yeah, I think the top portion of Command Center, right, where you come out past the spiders, is going to be an important spot to hold. E6, their malady continues here, getting completely caught off guard.
They got ratted on. They were creeping up on them. They were creep walking on the high ground and found a knock in the process, evening out the odds. As a 2v2, E6 just tucks their tail and keep on running behind them. But if they run towards Stormcatcher, you have to imagine other teams that play on the edge are there, and it's Orgless and Hungry. What better timing for them to make their way after taking the high ground here, and E6 having to figure out where they want to rotate to if they want to take this low to high ground hilltop.
I mean, they've been making some pretty good decisions the last couple of games. Vicky, as we said, on the hunt for a bonus point. But with all these other teams around them, you've got LVH over here. They're in striking distance of Red Dragon. And you can see they've taken the first casualty in the fight as well.
We get that knock originally here. Red Dragon now, trying to just restabilize. They have the advantage of getting that knock. They just want to get into a better position on the high ground without putting themselves at risk from a third party potentially coming up behind them. But so far, teams are still taking their time to rotate from outside of the circle chaos that we saw closer to Barometer. So Cascade Falls is in the clear for the next minute or so. They also see the Evil Harvester to their left. They could also try to prevent other teams from trying to take this Evil Harvester if they just want to camp it out.
There's potentially some teams that could go past there, 40% worse being one of them. But a little further to the east. The Cravers come through for 2R1C. Just with all these lifelines on the map, Vicky, I think we've got 3 in the lobby. You know, you're just seeing an increase in care package weapons available.
And we take those. Everyone's feasting when it comes to those care package weapons, and with the Craver in the hands of Hierarcha, they get that knock and they get the dirty, while EXO now have to play this out as a duo. So many duos that we've been seeing so far in this game 5, while 07 now actually trying to engage themselves, gets the scan, sees a duo right in front of them, sends out the nade here. You can't see anything if you don't have the Digi, so luckily for them, they got the PK with the Digi attached and ready to go. But Natsuki gets blasted. Nags with the car. Can't put a Digi on that anymore, and it's cold. Quickly gets scanned. They quickly get eliminated as 07 clear them out.
And this is a fantastic spot for 07 to hold as well. They're gonna get shoved out by the ring a little bit, but if they can, if one of those rings, rocks is still within the zone. No, it's not. They're actually thinking about wrapping all the way around, really? Or are they just going for the Evo Harvester that's down the... Yeah, okay, all right. So they grabbed an Evo Harvester that was just below the hill there, and now they're going to try and evac in for a new spot.
40% Worst finally made their way outside the ring here. Red Dragon's still in the ring over to their left side. But look how many teams are by the edge of this next circle. 07 actually are landing on top of them, and they're gonna pay for it. Naski gets taken down, but it was because of some circle damage. There's a team right outside these doors, sends out the creeping barrage in the process, but it's a team that is bunkered down, it looks like, closer to the high ground here, while 07 just try to reset.
Yeah, that's Infinite up there. Look, they've been there pretty much the whole game, and the circle continues to pull towards them, so they will be able to play from that power spot for a little while longer. They don't give it up. They don't want to give it up. They shouldn't give it up, even though they did get the knock against Naski. So I like this decision, but of course that works out quite well for 07.
Good spot for them here. Looking on the other side, Infinite still are going to hold on to the side, but while they are here, they still have blue Evo shields, denying themselves opportunities from trying to get those Evo Harvesters while playing for that end circle, of course. 40% Worse, though, are getting gate kept to themselves. 2 rats, 1 controller, meeting them on the other side.
40% Worse always seem to have their back to the zone. They're such late rotators. It's like, you know, really redlining it. 7 seconds now, you can see they're in between the zone and a Kraber. That is a rock and a hard place if I've ever seen it.
Oh, it's tough with that rotate. Even with the Kraber in hand. It's like you were talking about before, just being able to have that Kraber is so important, especially if you could clear up some spots from some of these teams that are desperate to rotate in. The evac tower has been called in. And the fight inside of this cave here has also ensued right outside of where you would be rotating from the wall. It's outplayed. Aftermath, Red Dragon, Mine, 4 teams in this area alone, and Aftermath have now lost out on Bavis.
Yeah, it's always hard to tell on the map, though, whether they're actually in the cave or they're, you know, running around on top as well. I guess we'll see, but it's certainly about to kick off underneath here. Aftermath, they can see they've left their caustic player for dead. Probably not going to be able to get him back up as Red Dragon raced the zone.
This circle just makes your eyes water. They trade here. B2 has to watch out. Looks at his health, but he gets taken out. Red Dragon. Now, Stelisi's trying to fight for his life. He's getting pinged from right behind before he himself meets them back in the lobby. 11 squads left, and it is Mine that did not give up this positioning, as they should. They cleared out the spiders, and they held the edge of the circle, and with their team composition with the Catalyst, it makes the most sense so that way they don't overextend.
Okay, so there you go. All of them underneath, and all of them go down, except for Mines, the team that will take it out. Alliance there, you can see they've moved up into 2nd place now. This is the kind of result they want if they need to be in that top 8 to make it to land, Vicky.
See if they can hold on to it here. Orgless and Hungry. Can they go for the 3 times? After 2 back-to-back wins with heavy KP, they are looking unstoppable right now. E6 is right on top of them. Team that's much more quiet in a lobby that they usually dominate over. Team Portugal do get scanned over to the right side. They see the Bloodhound scan. Just trying to set up the perimeter. That's going to be Mine that are poking their heads finally out of the cave to see if they could rotate anywhere around. But right above their heads is Alliance that will have to drop down soon for this next rotate.
I mean, that wasn't, just thinking about this now, that was an absolute killer rotate by 07 earlier. I've seen a similar zone. We had it earlier in the split in Apex South. And I've got to say, the teams who are where 07 and Infinite are, like on the top of Lightning Rod, it's like a castle. It's a fortress. And everyone else, when it comes to zone 5 or 6 and they have to push across that, it's like trying to get into a castle over a moat. They pull up the drawbridge and you've got nowhere to go.
And it's having that height too, always a height advantage that you just beam while they just try to poke their heads out while crawling from the low ground. That's gonna be crucial to see in the end game as Team Portugal lose out on their Valk. They're getting pinged all over to the right side here as more teams just try to make their way. That's probably mine that finally made their way out of the cave, and with this circle closing in behind them, they have to get going soon.
Okay, Alliance. I think when we saw earlier on, it was only a duo, so seems like they've managed to get back to full strength. Can they follow in Naxki's footsteps? Why don't we jump into a listen in with them and find out?
The base stairs.
Okay, let's see, yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do
Kill this
it.
team outside.
Yeah, Logan. Let me. Come inside.
I'm with you.
Why?
Yeah, smoking. Get inside.
Come on, Victor. Come on.
We're safer. Hold the doors. Make sure the team
open the
outside
door.
doesn't hit those shit.
We good.
My door's native. My door's native.
Careful.
Yeah, can't bang ulti.
Can we kill left?
Just hold angles here.
Close left.
Yeah, I know.
Careful left, DJ.
Yeah, I'm batting. Just play this side.
Yeah. I'm scanning two. I'm picking this guy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
3, 2, 1 swing.
Tack, close right, you guys.
Chill.
Yeah, I'm batting.
I'm blocking B. Yeah.
Nice. We need to watch out from this here. I'm picking again.
I'm smoking it.
Look at the sun.
Yes, we need to walk in late on bridge. We need to fight for our side.
I don't know where they are. I'm scared now.
But he's down. Can we go?
No.
After Bengal.
Oh, I didn't bomb us.
Bang ulti.
I full killed them.
Go.
I full killed them.
Okay, so Alliance, they're doing pretty well taking control of this building, but as I said before, Vicky, I don't know how much that is worth getting across the next part into the top of Lightning Rod. I genuinely think is almost impossible. Element 6, 07, and Infinite will all be gunning you down as you come across. We've got about 5 teams on the other side of this. Will any of them make it across? I predict at the very most one.
Tyler looking at this movement right before his eyes, but how do you cross this right now? Trying to see if you can find your way around this building where Full English has held it down. Alliance on the other side. Unlucky's won. Hockey says, well, I don't know where they were trying to zoom their way through. Maybe take advantage of the Trident breaking off the map and then they just fly up from ahead. But Effect is the last one alive. That plan did not work out for them. Team Portugal get eliminated in the feed, so there's 7 squads left. And it's like you mentioned before, Gino, 07 are just playing king of the hill right now. There's still that corner trying to get through it, but it looks like he does not get onto the lift. Effect get eliminated after falling off the map, but regardless, you have nowhere to run.
Look, I don't want to say I was right, but it kind of looks like I was right. Literally every single team on that side. Oh, actually, except for 2R1C, because a tiny amount of the far side actually remains in the circle. So 2 rats, 1 controller. Well, they're down to 1 rat.
I mean, calling in the Exterminator may have to come into play here. With 07's game plan, having Nasky being on this Caustic, it'd be a shame if there's a crypto left in this lobby to just delete everything that they've worked out for. But luckily for them, there is no more crypto. It's only Uchaku who has that one last rat. Hayaka had gone down. So they could just sit pretty in here. Well, E6 also on the other side. Slab being able to pop that shield bat right now.
Oh, man. What's the next move for Chaco? It's probably not going to come to much, really. I mean, August and Hungry know he's there. They've got the scan. I think that was an evac maybe we just saw. Or there we go. Wow. Gets sniped out of the sky without a second thought. August and Hungry, they've got control over this zip line right here. So they've got 4 squads left. We've got a duo of Element 6, and then 07, Infinite, and August all with the full 3 members up and running.
It's crazy to see how frag heavy. Orgless and Hungry still are moving on. Trying to break records out here. They have 11 KP share between the whole team right now. Calling in the creeping barrage. How's 07 going to try to approach Orgless and Hungry as they try to fight for the high ground here? Circle closing in now. The calm before the storm, and the Nox grenade is ready from Nasky.
Again, this shot's great because it shows us how the height is playing out between these teams, because that will be one of the crucial factors. Who gets forced out first? Will you be forced off height, or will 07 be forced out of that building? Nice thermite.
Wow. Oh, it was huge right there. Doesn't matter if the Watch and Gen eats that up. E6 get eliminated. Our final 3 squads left right now in the lobby. Infinite, 07, Orgless, and Hungry. And Orgless and Hungry are looking to take 3 back-to-back wins, playing off the low ground here.
Oh my god, bonus point actually within reach now for Orgless and Hungry. Bang ult comes down. Evac tower even, I think that one's from 07, trying to give themselves some options as they have to finally leave their cover. Orgless and Hungry looking down upon them. Infinite might be able to play the hype from longer. How it's gonna shake out, Vicky?
Oh, it looked like he tried to toss a Nox grenade up onto the high ground. Not too sure if we cut the Gen. Eating that takes the evac tower, taking the circle damage. Infinite drops down. This is all Infinite. They have it in the game, but can they clutch? I don't think he can. 07, stay alive in the final circle. Even playing off the low ground, taking care of Orgless and Hungry, stopping their reign, and taking game number 5.
07 come out on top there. Epic clutch. I mean, I would have loved to see Nasky's reaction from that. You know, definitely one of the more animated players in our league. And yeah, look, it looks like Orgless and Hungry, they got shoved off first. Very hard for them to take that one out. You know, Infinite, who were up the top, I thought they probably, you know, had the best spot there. But no, the clutch factor lies with 07.
They got deleted the moment that they dropped down from that high ground. Like, you blinked and 2 of the players were already knocked, only leaving the Bangalore. And throughout the chaos of the smoke nades, you already saw the Nox gas, you saw the barrel setup. Where do you look while you're getting not only damage from the ring, but also the tick damage from the Nox nade? So that was a lot to deal with in 07. The patience wears off. We saw them clean up a duo right before they had made that rotate with the evac, and they found themselves in the best spot that you had mentioned, Genome, was for them to hold.
Yeah, good point about the caustic as well there, though, Vicky, because in those final circles, they are the one you're kind of relying on, right? Everyone else probably going to be eating that gas damage. They're going to be stunned, not necessarily have good vision through the Nox gas, but your caustic is fully free and ready to, you know, do damage and deal with the other caustic. So really, if you can keep that player up and alive longer, there's probably a much better chance that you're going to take out the win in those clustered end circles.
And 07 needed that too. Before that game, they were sitting in 11th, so now setting themselves up for a higher success rate as they move up in the overall standings. I can't wait to see what they had finished off with their KP, but regardless, we got to see Orgless and Hungry and how much KP they had. Kind of was going crazy on that Bloodhound, so they still were able to finish in top 3 with a double-digit KP kill count.
Damn. Yeah, there's that's a big result there from them. I mean, Orgless and Hungry, we also saw that they took out quite a few kills there. Obviously, a decent placement, maybe not winning, maybe not getting the bonus point, but they still did extend their lead on the lobby.
Taking a look at the overall standings after the end of game number 5, 07 finished off with 10 KP. Infinite coming in with 6 KP, waiting in second place. They were holding on to the high ground for quite some time, denying themselves some evil shield charge, but it still worked out for them in the end, getting second place. With Orgless and Hungry getting focus fired by both 07 and Infinite, they still finished their run off with 12 KP. Still a game to go for both of these teams here, though, as you take a look all the way at the very bottom. Alliance getting 4 KP, but let's be honest, there was absolute chaos at the very end for that final circle pool. There was a lot of teams that had nowhere to go when it came to crossing through that bridge.
Yeah, priority for that zone is just so important, right? Infinite, they land at Stormcatcher, so I think it makes sense that, you know, they got that read and went up there. I wonder if Alliance maybe didn't get a ring console, because obviously if they had have and had have called that zone correctly, it should have been them really in that spot rather than Infinite.
Had maybe rotated to go to an Evo Harvester, and that also shows you, you know, when you make that rotate out without having that information, how crucial it can be for circles like this. Taking a look at the kill leaderboard, Orglitz and Hungry still stay on top. All 3 members in the top 5 still, while Tyler secures himself 20 total kills for the day after these last 5 games, while Kinda comes in second place with 18. I do know that Kinda is leading the way with the amount of damage done, though, so Orglitz and Hungry doing a really good job at following up with one another, while Alliance sitting in 3rd and 4th between Effect and Unlucky, who has been just a phenomenal addition out here for the rest of this team.
He has, and he's taken a lot of the pressure off Effect as well. You know, the Wunderkind, who had some of the most incredible land performances we'd seen on the hardest stages, you know, maybe until they get to the finals. But here he is, Unlucky, able to just, you know, make it so that we're not just relying on the one fragger for that team. Of course, you know, Hucker's always pitching in there as well. I know we saw some of those, the history of ALGS, like, kill leaderboards overall released by Chrono recently, and Huckus is definitely up the top of that.
Amazing IG out here while we take a look at the overall standings after the last 5 games. Orglitz and Hungry staying on top with 88 total points. What a window between themselves and Alliance sitting in second with 51. Looking all the way down, though, you can see that gap start being built up, even between Passion looking all the way down, because Passion being one of those placement teams that we've been seeing thus far, trying to clean up some crumbs that were left behind by Orglitz, all the way down to even Full English, who are trying to play for positioning, Team Portugal, that try to predict these circles, unable to find that spot in that last circle that we just saw. And in the second page, E6 still settled in 11th.
Okay, so Orglitz and Hungry are, what is that, 37 points ahead of Alliance right now. So, again, bonus points on the table here. They got close to getting one. There's 2 different ways you can do it, right? 50 points ahead of second place. The other one is winning 3 maps. So, they're actually both within reach now from Orglitz and Hungry. What, like, an absolute powerhouse performance from these guys.
It's crazy, but can they do it? They have 1 more game left. If they can clutch it out, additional points, they'll be feasting. We're gonna have to see on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We got our final game, game number 6 on Stormpoint. Welcome back, everyone. We have one final game left in the books here on Store Point for Groups A and B. It's been a fantastic time so far, and with the chaos that just went down in that last game, Genome, I'm excited to see some more play it out for this final game.
Indeed, you can see a nice spread of wins here, but ALGS and Hungry with the 2 wins definitely head and shoulders above the rest of our lobby here as A and B duke it out. Storm Point, as you said, 1 map left to go, and look, I think they've definitely stitched up first place, Vicky, but a lot of other teams still fighting for relevance here in Split 1.
Yeah, I'm thinking about E6 themselves, actually, who usually find success in this lobby, just lingering behind. Alliance, who still find themselves consistently in the top 3, top 4 conversation in these lobbies. Even bring Unlucky into this roster has just proved success for this team. I can't wait to see more of it. 2 Retro and Controller, a team that has no issue taking these fights as well. Going into this final game, though, if ALGS and Hungry can secure themselves that 1 extra point, that would be big here, but they would have to win a game, or they have to have 50 more points over the second place squad right behind them.
I mean, the interesting thing is Aurora have been so dominant, and E6 as well, I suppose, that not many teams have actually been able to take out a series win here in EMEA, right? I mean, Aurora have taken 3 of them. E6 have taken 2 of them. We've had Passion actually also pick up 1 so far, and that's it, right? So only 3 different teams.
All different all the way around. ALGS, they have other plans here. Let's get set up for our final game in EMEA. It's been a great time to see how Season 20 has played out for a lot of these teams, but it also means a lot of things have shifted in the overall leaderboard and the standings for the teams that have been trying to test things to work into their best ability, whether they want to play on the edge of the circle or for that final circle positioning. See full English already, making their rotate around. They see where those evil shield harvesters are settled in by the wall. Someone trying to actually shoot at them while they're trying to fly in either.
Yeah, unfortunately going to take the gravity cannon to get up to Zeus Station. It's one of the big drawbacks, honestly, of this POI is that a lot of ships don't get you straight there. You cannot drop into your POI. You can't even, like, all 3 members will drop at different places to try and make sure, your loot partying is quickly. Nope, you just got to all drop on the gravity cannon and run your way up there.
Waste a little bit of time, but at least they got that ultra mega jump tower if they need it for whatever reason. Crossing some distance, especially looking at where this circle is going to be pulling to. Once you take a look at 07, who's hanging out in Cedo Station, but I know they're going to be feasting. They also are split up just temporarily right now because one of the members of 07 wants to get that survey beacon. And if you already got ahead of it, there's actually a player from LVH that tried to do something similar. Now I get to see Alliance as well, who are now gonna be able to loot up for today. They've been doing fantastic thus far, getting second place, even with that big gap between themselves and ALGS and Hungry.
Yeah, it's a massive gap, isn't it? A couple of teams nipping on their heels, but they're certainly not getting any higher than second here now that we're up to our round 6. Passion also, as you can see there, was at 4 points behind Alliance. Not too bad. As I mentioned, one of the only teams who managed to take out a win, so they've certainly been showing glimpses of that form today, as we've mentioned how regularly they've been finding themselves in the final circles.
I've got eyes on one of them over there. Locate the server
Pings
beacon
over by
there.
Barometer. 2 rats, 1 controller. Trying to rotate into Barometer. Nobody's there too, so they're pretty safe for now, but take some
And
shots at the flyers you see.
Yeah, the poor flyers. It's been a massacre. They're like since the season 20 update, I'm worried that they're going to go extinct, Vicky.
During these prehistoric times, not even Jurassic Park stands anymore for these prowlers, so why not take out the flyers with you too?
Yeah, that's a good point. We're losing wildlife here over on Storm Point.
Ridiculous, even for these evil shields charges. But any crumb counts here, as you can see why. Sleazy and the rest of Aftermath having these blue evos. They couldn't get an armor check real quick on the other side. He got hit what looked like a massive. It's got Beast of the Hunt ready here, though. And while they do find this fight over by Mill, can only expect a third party exiting out of checkpoint may present themselves shortly.
I mean, Mill is one of the possible finishes here. Could also go down to Bean. Could be Cedo Station.
What's crazy is I'm predicting this is going to be another one of those chaotic circles. If it pulls towards the open ground by the hilltop of Cedo, there's basically nowhere to rotate to if you are one of the teams that probably will share that space in Cedo, especially considering that there's a replicator there, a ring console. You can see the teams that also may want to get the survey beacon to the south that we saw one of the members of 07 split up for. But over to the south side, you see EXO trying to take this fight to Passion. Looked like they had taken an evac tower to maybe get on top of the rock that overlooks that survey beacon side, closer to Mill without putting yourself at risk. But when you do rotate there early, it could be a little risky for the amount of teams running the crypto. The EMP has been unleashed over here by Checkpoint, though, in the middle of this rotate. Full English, with Noises losing out on his shield, having to be careful and getting out of line of sight of the squad across the field.
Oof. Just like they've tried to get on top of them here. Nemesis burst fire from close range, not the most reliable.
It's just enough to ramp up if you're at 100 for now. Gets a little wall hop here. He's trying to schmoove it, and he doesn't even need it. Mine get eliminated. First squad to go out in this final game, as Noises is trying to loot up whatever he can from down below.
Handy little win there from the Full English. It's also good because they've got the ring console and survey beacon inside Checkpoint, and it means a win means, you know, they can just secure that and then pop off, get the you know, the zone 3, zone 4 information, depending on how long they want to stick around in Checkpoint.
That's also an extra 200 per console that they could be able to secure there. Finit's still on top of this high ground here. This is the open spot area. If the circle does pull here and you're here early, you could get pinched from both angles. So they're just taking a look at their backs. That's the high ground rock that they saw that team fly to earlier when they called in the evac tower. I believe Passion may be there still. While ExoClan's fighting on that slight low ground closer to the armory versus LVH where the survey beacon is.
Not a bad spot to have Watson in, though. You'd rather have Watson than Caustic up here. Just the reason being, in open spaces, it's a lot easier to carve out a situation for yourself with those perimeter fences than it is necessarily with the Caustic barrels.
Trying to bust down that door. Silesia has just not let it go. It's a Caustic v Caustic on each side here too, as they secure the opposite ends of this one specific building of Mill. Well, Cedo Station's also starting to get hot. It's Pest Control, the duo, now versus Cold as a 3-man. They get the scan, they see it's just the duo. Gets the crack immediately afterwards, and a nice follow-up from Urban to get the knock onto Plexes. Unfortunate here for Pest Control. They're just going to try to play out their lives, but this is easy KP for Cold to capitalize on.
As you say, pretty regulation for them. Gonna get the scan and think about following this up. Cybercat's in the vicinity as well. As you can see there, just prowling around. The zone shifts over west, so it could be a Mill finish. Wow, still a little bit of checkpoint in there. I'd say unlikely to shift back over there, but it does favor those teams now coming in from the north, like Alliance and Full English.
Yeah, that would definitely help them out with their rotation too if they want to play off that south building. Cold is able to get the res on as well. And it's just the last cleanup. Hey, at least he took one down before he found himself back in the lobby. Difficult situation to be in here, but Cold is going to be able to capitalize. While taking a look at Outplayed, playing on the opposite end of Mill. This is that rotation point too. If Alliance decide to rotate right behind Outplayed since they're still over by Down Beast, or if they want to go through the choke that leads into Checkpoint all the way south by Spider Cave.
Closed door here.
Spotted a subject over there.
ANC, one of those teams we talked about coming in from the north here. Back from the middle of the map, actually. You got ALGS and Hungary sitting over there, but this is full English, who have found alliance over at checkpoint. Of course, there's a couple of buildings. I mean, if they want to, they can happily coexist, but the full English may not necessarily be that calm in this situation.
These are the purple Evos. It's gonna be 3v3 on both sides of purple Evos, but... See the shots of the 30-30 ringing towards Bryn. Just backing away. They're giving up that space. The Lions playing a much more aggressive comp here compared to what we'd see from full English. Makes sense for them to just get right back into the building. But they're going to be able to consistently put in some extra pressure if they try to approach this. And he's got the Havoc with the gold mag and turbo. Actually, it manages to slide down the hill instead. They don't want to try to take this fight here uphill while the circle still may pull towards that choke point by the spiders.
Oh man, that's Valkyrie definitely coming in handy there, being able to just get straight onto the high ground and immediately put pressure on, even breaking the door. EMPs goes out. That's only going to hit effect though.
With that EMP coming in though and only hitting effect, still has the advantage here if you take a look at this aggressive positioning that Alliance is holding. With Beast of the Hunt and there being a Watson in the building, this is taking way more time than Alliance likes. So they're looking behind them to make sure that no third-party opportunity may be coming, because guess who's out and about? It's ALGS and Hungary making their rotate from Cascade through the bunker and right towards full English. So that was a good call on Alliance just to back away and get some more information if they can scan that survey beacon.
I mean, this is what I talked about with, there's multiple buildings here, right? You can coexist if you wish to. They've spotted out full English down the bottom already, but yeah, as you say, Alliance potentially looking for some of that information further into the ring. Checkpoint with all the beacons you could possibly want as the zone shifts downward.
They're pinging Alliance. Takes some shots, activates Beast of the Hunt. That's what they're talking about. And they're separated because they see the scan up above them. The smoke comes in, so is the creeping barrage. Tyler tries to get into position with the Mozambique. You'd think it's April Fools from 2 years ago. Nope, it's just the Mozam ringing through, and they find effect first. They're running into this next circle to see if they can try to rotate around, but this was just unlucky timing from Alliance. They pulled away, and ALGS and Hungary rotated around full English, which actually may allow full English to go in for a third party or gatekeep ALGS if they can, or they just may settle down in those buildings and not even partake in the fight.
Okay, so as you can see, the zone has shifted south here. I think that was a fantastic point, Vicky, about the survey beacon. That was, you know, it's hard to get certainty about where the team members are from an enemy team, but they knew that they were split because of that. Teams who are sitting within Mill are obviously going to be pretty good. We're going to get a bit of a crush here from the south side. There's quite a few teams down there who are playing Bean and kind of hoping that was going to be where we ended up. So ExoClan, Passion, LVH, and 40% Worse are all going to have to run uphill, and honestly, it will be an uphill battle for them to make it into this next zone.
So hard on that south side too. We're talking about running uphill on the other side of Aceto, but even closer to that armory too. You take a look at Graceful popping off with the bow check in the feed. Gets the dirty 2 onto Alonzi. ALGS and Hungry now creep their way. It's Red Dragon meeting them on the other side by this building. Not full English that are holding that more low ground building closer to Spider Caves. E6 are waiting on the outskirts of that fight too, so 4 squads just in that northern circle once this next circle closes in as it is right now, and where that next circle is going to be revealed for the squads that do not have that circle beacon.
40% Worse can't make it out of the Bean Armory. LVH popped the evac tower, or maybe that was a Volcol. Nice and early. Nope, definitely an evac tower. And as they make their way into Mill, they're going to be met by 3 or 4 other teams who are still in here.
Oh no. And this is such a bad spot to hold too, unless you put the caustic barrels on each end of the door, prevent yourselves from getting cut. Anzo says, I do not want any business here. Has to run away after popping the Beast of the Hunt, leaving his teammate behind. And this is why running to mill so early is crucial. You have so much space to share with multiple different teams, especially in a caustic meta that we've been seeing so far. E6 still waiting by the edge, closer to the armory, now getting involved. Full English had moved away from the building to see if they could take a fight to ALGS and Hungary. To see how that goes down, because Red Dragon and E6 get in third party right afterwards. They lose out on the Taffy, they lose out on the lifeline, they get the knock, but they don't get the trade. ALGS and Hungary, they go down. And that was all thanks to Full English that found the opportunity and waited patiently to take that fight to them.
No, man. I mean, bonus point enthusiasts sad everywhere. They'll definitely win the lobby, but yeah, unfortunately don't manage to get the 3 wins.
That Chaos hanging on the high ground, E6. K-Sweeney losing out on that shield, so does CJ here. It's only the Slab who's rather healthy. He does get the knock originally, though. Can he get the trade? He gets a second knock. Can he do it himself? The Gen is right there to help out, but the third party being called in to help take down the Dreams. Full English, one after the other. They conquered ALGS and they conquer E6. Cole and the Feed get eliminated right afterwards. And now Full English get this entire side of the circle to themselves.
Yeah, incredible timing from the Full English. They're going in with the EMP just to finish off any remaining shields. Not that the teams really had any by the time that the Full English got there. I mean, they could have stayed down the bottom, right, Vicky? They could have played that bottom house and just waited for other teams to rotate past them. Instead, they take the initiative. They go up and they grab a whole bunch of kills for their troubles.
Really shows you how patience paid off for them too, whether they wanted to stay in that building or capitalize off of a team that could have third-partied them later if that squad had finished fighting above them. Good rotates and timing for Full English while they make the ping over by the building to their right. Oh, and squad is taking off right before their eyes on the Valkyrie skyward dive. Noise just looking to see who's around the area, especially with that crypto drone. And look at the teams that have to rotate from the armory side. 07 is in trouble. Hedgeman has taken control over the rock ahead. Aftermath get eliminating your feeds. 8 squads remaining in this feed. Passion have not left from this high ground rock, though. They went from one rock to another. Outplayed, get eliminated, in the scans coming in clutch for Henchman.
I mean, look, I don't want to overuse the phrase, Vicky, but if you're between a rock and a hard place, Passion have control of that rock. And they're just going to be sort of like bashing everyone else into it. So yeah, look, another 6 squads around them. A couple of teams sort of just trying to play behind this building, even just a little fence. There's not a lot of cover in this final zone here, so I think we're actually going to see a lot of teams go down pretty early.
And Team Portugal being the first one. The next 35 seconds, everyone has to go into that next circle here. Let's jump into a listener with 2 rats, 1 controller, while we see the wingman shots popping off in the feed.
Get the KP now, because it's not sure we get it later, no?
We will get now.
Just stay.
Okay.
Break the fucking drone if you can.
No, I cannot. I will bangle the left side
EMP.
and smoke the house.
Yeah, moving up.
And
Yeah,
it's all good. They're in the dog position. We are safe. We just need to hug left. Just hug left.
get the
just hug
KP,
left.
get KP there, if you can.
Hug left.
Yeah,
On
okay, hold on,
complete
hold on
safe.
for me.
Complete safe. I have EMP. Complete safe. Fuck you. I can EMP these guys.
I cracked one, yeah, you should do it. I bangled them.
I'm gonna go.
Climbing up,
Nice.
climbing up.
Kill, I'm waiting. I'm gonna EMP now and we kill them. Go.
Oh, Missy.
Look at this.
Go.
They're all fucked.
Left side.
Swing left.
All you, Missy.
Crack, go stick.
The Passion, while they try to swing on the squad right to their left, they lose out onto Iraka, as forced to slide down the hill, take some cover by the rocks. Unfortunately, met their demise with a team looking at him square in the face across the field from those buildings. But look at the team on the high ground. Passion have not given up this space. They have the best spot to be in right now.
And with Alliance not winning that fight over a checkpoint, they have ceded second place to Passion, and I think Stay Healthy are about to cede the game to them as they slide down the hill to victory.
Wow. so close, and they finally take it at the very end. 2 dubs for the entire day go in favor to Passion as they took game number 1 and ended up the day taking our final game number 6. Passion coming out on top after struggling a lot in the previous Pro League games, Genome, and they finally take another dub to top it all off.
Yeah, I've been so impressed with Passion today, honestly. This wasn't a team that was particularly on my radar. But look, I'm here to learn about EMEA, Vicky, and certainly something I'm writing down in my notes is watch out for Passion come LAN.
Man, not even the teams that are sitting in 17th in the overall regional standings could be slept on right now. Passion just coming in, said, all right, season 20, we got this. Playing to their strengths, but specifically their positioning. This is definitely one of those teams that likes to play for end circle, as we've been seeing displayed throughout the last 5 games.
Yeah, they're not a team that I'm seeing like, you know, bulldoze, steamroll through other teams and take the positions off them. It's a team that is identifying the correct spot to play very early on and then holding it out from there. So, you know, you need extremely good team fighting to be able to, you know, compete in Apex at the highest levels, but you know, this ability that Passion has to get into those end circles also very important.
I mean, and they did it with 11 KP to their name. That's with Passion, who took an evac tower from the survey beacon side, closer outside the armory to the south side of the hill, leaving out Aceto, to then the rock side, and then get on top of the other rock to the right, and they just mowed down the rest of the lobby that was in such a bad position. Bangalore smoke or not, they secure first place, 11 kills, even looking down at full English.
Yeah.
They took out the Titans that were orgless and hungry, and great timing on when to nitpick and choose their fights.
Exactly, and they really made the most of their situation, didn't they? You know, like, they could have ended up with, you know, much less kills than that, but they really maximized, you know, really just cleaned up everyone in checkpoint and then moved on. It was a hard rotate from them after that, but hey, at least they picked up the 16 points.
Absolutely. Looking all the way down, 07, trying to play for their life, only securing 1 KP. Looking on the second page here, though, E6 unfortunately didn't have that pop-off game that we wanted them to have to stay consistent in a lobby like this. They fall down here in 12 and were able to get at least 2 KP, but I felt like a lot of these teams, even looking at Cold with 4 KP, had ended up falling in the middle of those rotates, unfortunately just getting caught with a lot of third parties.
Yep, unfortunately, if it had been a bean circle, I think Cole would have been in a sick position, but yeah, not to be.
Either way, really, really fun way to close out the series here today. We almost had the bonus point being added. It was just this close with those fights on the edge that just did not go OAH's way. We saw some really, really strong consistency, like you guys were saying, though, out of the likes of Passion. I mean, there were teams today that needed to step up. That was kind of the story of the day. Which teams are going to start to put themselves in contention for the regional finals, even for LAN, and some of those teams really brought it to today. We'll take a look back at those final circles now for matches 4 through 6. And I think, you know, match number 4, they might not have closed it out of match number 6, but we'll get a little bit of a highlight reel here for Orgless and Hungry in match number 4, because we saw just how strongly were this entire match, whether we were catching up with them when it was on their rotates, pushing through chokes. They were just steamrolling any team that came in front of them. And when it got down to these final moments, we saw 2R1C trying to do something here with this height. They decide to drop down and see if they can make a little bit of a push, thinking that maybe this was going to work in their favor, but they forgot about the absolute wrecking ball that was OAH. I mean, they were able to at least get themselves some really good placement here and get those kills on the board. And for a second, Tyler was in a little bit of danger from the rat that was JMW, but they were able to clear him out, then own that side of the zone. And once they had all of that space cleared out, all they had to do was wait. They just had to wait for the perfect opportunity to make the push in. And the second they saw everything popping off, they make the move. Look at the spread they have around everybody else that's just clustered underneath this rock and are able to clean up match number 1. And then match number 5, things got just as spicy here, Gino.
Yeah, this was the fun game we had over at Lightning Rods, and if you'll remember, we had, it was Infinity up the top, 07 down the bottom, and we were talking about how important Caustic is in these kind of circles. You can see the bang ult's trying to come down, but Watson also playing her part with the interception pylon there, being able to make sure they're not getting too stunned out. Now look at this, Infinite about to drop down, almost full health at this point. You know, it's really interesting to see, to keep your eyes. I think there were shots coming out from the evac tower that actually landed there. That is wild from 07. You know, your accuracy is so low when you jump on those.
And Vicky here will close out match number 6. Passion back on top here, finding themselves some decent points.
Yeah, they started the day strong and they ended the day strong, and it was with heavy KP. Even with game number 1, they won with 7 KP, but here with 11 KP to clean up the rest of the lobby was something else. I mean, they didn't have to give up the high ground whatsoever, and nobody else had any way to actually contest them there without getting shot from every angle. So great showing from Passion, and also the consistency to always be within that top 5 if they had that chance.
Yeah, that was massive for them, and you can see what it did when it comes to these series results. Orglis and Hungary with 91 points in that first place position, but Passion not that far behind. 70 points is a phenomenal day here, Gino.
Yeah, exactly. Finishing off with 45 placement points. That is a ridiculous stat line there. I mean, we'll have to go check out what their average placement was for the entire series later, but you know, they were lagging behind a lot of other teams on, or some other teams on kills, but it was just that consistent game plan that got them through this. The way that they really find themselves in these end circles was second to none today.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at these series results, and it's huge for the likes of Clan. They were one of those teams that we had looked at that was kind of in the bottom 10 heading into today. We talked about how those teams really needed to step up, Vicky, and they put themselves in 8th on the day.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of the teams that we were taking a look at to see if they could stay performing were absolutely able to step up. Even looking at Cybercats, we're talking about their consistency, still staying in that top 10 is important for them to try to break through that barrier, because they're finding themselves in that border between 7th and 8th, and that is just no man's land territory. You do not want to hang out there, because you never know what could happen for a lot of these other teams that may find their pop-off days.
Well, we'll see just how much these series results impact our overall standings as we now get a look at what happened to Orglis and Hungary. They are now only 9 points behind. I mean, this Aurora was so far ahead of everybody, Genome, coming into today, and Orglis and Hungary has just completely shut that gap down. They've completely shrunk it.
Of course, but you've essentially got the asterisk on your screen there, right? It says, you know, series played, so Aurora still have a chance to get to essentially reopen that lead, and I imagine that they will, because the lowest placement they've had so far is 2nd. That is a stat.
Dang. And not to mention, though, Vicky, we talked about this at the top of the show. Our teams, if we're looking all the way forward to playoffs and land, they're trying to get around the 90-point threshold to secure their spot to be able to play there. And Orglis and Hungary has essentially done that.
Absolutely. The magic number that you want to be in right now, so that way you could have the opportunity to either participate in that regional final or be able to find yourself at a pretty decent spot in playoffs here. So a lot of these teams just aiming to make sure that they could either stay consistent or go above and beyond for the other squads, like today, that were on the bottom end of the overall standings, now slowly crawling their way up, as you can see here.
Yeah, we'll start to take a look here too. Obviously, we had talked about 50 points being that threshold for the regional finals for these squads here. Everyone around that bubble right now looking pretty good to make their way through to that next step of the competition, but still needing to kind of put in a little bit more work as we look towards 20th place and below, because remember, anyone that doesn't make it through the regional finals will be relegated down to PLQ, and then they'll have to try and fight for that last opportunity to make it through to our LAN playoffs. We did mention EXO Clan. They have moved up a little bit after their performance here today, so maybe one more strong performance can at least put them in that bubble, trying to get through to regional finals. Meanwhile, we'll have to see what the rest of these squads can do, but it is looking a little bit scary for some of them. But now it's time for us to turn our focus towards individual players. And if I'm being honest, I probably could have picked the entire squad for the MVP portion of today. I'm talking about Orgless and Hungry, and I have many reasons for why it could have been the entire squad, but at the end of the day, I had to go with Tyler. All right, there's lots to talk about for these teams, specifically the fact that while Tyler was the kill leader all day, and while he did end up with 21 kills, which is the EMEA record for this split on a single match day for individual kills, it wasn't just Tyler putting in the work. Matafe had the most assists, kinda had the most damage, which we heard Vicky mention as well when we were looking at those kill leaderboards. And as a whole, they just absolutely slayed out. We saw that they ended up with 91 points. That's also another record. They have beaten Aurora's previous split one record for most points on a day of 77 by getting 91. So it wasn't even a small margin. They absolutely smashed that record. But then when it comes to Tyler, you need to remember, Tyler's a new addition to this squad. He's playing on the Bangalore for Orgless and Hungry, but he came in as a mid-season pickup when Unlucky went to Alliance. And Tyler is showing why he was picked up for Orgless and Hungry. I mean, over 6K damage dealt here today. A phenomenal performance on behalf of Tyler as an individual, yes, on behalf of Orgless and Hungry as well. On the whole, the back-to-back 15 kill wins into a 12 kill third place finish. They were just unstoppable here today. So for me, it had to be Tyler for the MVP, but we also have an opportunity here to talk to Matafe from the squad. If I'm not mistaken, I believe should be ready to go. Congratulations, dude. Phenomenal day today. How is the squad feeling right now?
Thank you. The vibes are amazing. I don't really have much more to say. At like 5th game, we were all out of breath from screaming, just saying chill down. But yeah, it was amazing today.
I mean, I've got to ask you, because this is something that I've been wondering, what do you guys feel like season 20 has done for your team? How has it benefited you? Because even just from yesterday to today, yesterday you guys didn't finish above 12th place, I think, and then today no one could touch you. So what was the difference?
Well, if I'm completely honest, yesterday after our not so good performance, we just went into VOD review. We focused on our games, and then we very strongly focused on Aurora's VODs. We went through everything they do, every single game, and then just applied what we can to our gameplay. And then obviously we can't do everything the same because, in my opinion, they have the strongest 2 POIs in this meta because they land hard edge. They have a lot of wildlife to kill, to get points, to get armors up, etc. We can't do that from our POIs. But yeah, we basically applied as much as we can, and yeah, it worked.
I mean, that's actually really interesting. Looking at Aurora after, you know, the very dominating team, obviously in EMEA, and then taking note of that. I mean, going on to the next question for you, bringing back in Tyler, you know, he trusts you heavily as an IGO. We heard it in his interview yesterday. How you said the vibes are high, but when you looked at the VOD review and after a lackluster day yesterday, what was that change mentally for the team when you guys saw that and then were able to replicate that success for today?
I don't think we were in a bad mood yesterday. Obviously, not doing well hurts, but I think we are all as confident as we can be. Like today, we just managed to prove it. But we were confident from the get-go that we are still one of the top teams. Even with Unlucky going, Tyler is still the GOAT. So yeah, no problems there.
And then, you know, you were talking a little bit about your POIs just there before, Tyler. You know, having access to Pylon and Lava Siphon, which I think before the Season 20 changes, you would have said, you know, arguably some of, if not the best POIs on the map. How are you feeling about them now that we do have those changes and things like PvE are so much more important to your early game?
Yeah, I think early rotating to zone, which is what we played the entire first half of the split, is much harder now because when you upgrade to blue, you need so much damage that it's almost impossible to just level up from damage like you could before, playing Conduit, for example. So now we're basically playing a mini game within the game, like going from one bin to the another bin to harvester points to UAV and just collecting points until we get purple, and then we get in later on and play the game because we have such a big advantage over the teams that are there early.
Well, you mentioned that you guys VOD reviewed heavily on Aurora, and after today, now you smashed Aurora's record for points on an individual match day. How does that feel? Clearly, like, it worked.
Yeah, it feels amazing. I don't know what to say. My teammates are crazy good. Today they made 0 mistakes. I personally threw 2 games, but yeah, they just played insane today. So the vibes are great.
I mean, you were leading in assists as well, so I don't really know if you could say you threw 2 games because you guys slayed out. I won't keep you any longer, though. Congratulations one more time, Matafe, and thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us.
Thank you.
Talk about humble. Well, how can he have thrown 2 games? I mean, either way, ALGS and Hungary were they put on an absolute showcase on how to play in this new meta here today. So congratulations one more time to them. But we're almost done here in EMEA. So Vicky, I kind of want to get your final thoughts here on the day. I know you were excited to get into this season 20 meta.
Yeah, I'm loving the legend diversity that we are seeing, like Lifeline being put into the Pro League, seeing Wraith back into the play, potentially for World's Edge. It's just been so exciting. We're talking about different pathing that teams are having to take because of the Evo Harvesters. There's so much change that it feels like a fresh breath of air looking at Apex Legends from a competitive standpoint. And I honestly can't wait to see how other regions adjust to that leading up to LAN.
Gina, it was your first time with us. First time here on the broadcast. I mean, we still have a whole nother series to do, but how did EMEA hold up so far?
I really enjoyed it. You know, ALGS and Hungary, they really put on a show. As you said, I enjoyed that very much. The incidence of Lifeline was quite high in this region. I think that always makes for fun because you're getting some, you know, some early fights with like Kravers and stuff coming out. And then we had the crypto, and that was one I maybe didn't expect as much. APAC North in times past were, you know, the region that had 16 cryptos in a lobby, but it seems like EMEA have taken over that mantle.
You know, NA will probably rein that in just a bit for you. See a little bit less of that as we move on to the next region. But speaking of NA, obviously we keep mentioning we might be done here in EMEA, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a whole other series of gameplay right around the corner later on here today. So you have to make sure that you tune into that, all right? 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. ET, 11 p.m. GMT, and there is still tons of action to be had on behalf of all of these teams. Will Oxygen Esports be a squad that are able to pick up their performance? We saw a phenomenal day from them on match day 4, now finding themselves just outside of that top 10, and you know that they're going to want to try and make a push in to claim one of those top 10 spots. Then of course we have GKS, a team finding themselves just inside of the top 10 that I am talking about right now, having a really strong day. Last time we got to see them play, will they be able to replicate that success here now that we get another chance to check in with them and their performance? And then of course elevate top 4 right now in our overall standings, finding themselves to be relatively consistent throughout the season here so far. What will this new meta in season 20 bring to the table for these 3 squads? As always, though, if you miss any of the action here today, you can always just follow us on social media, which will be at Play Apex Esports on X and YouTube, or at Play Apex on Twitch, and that way you won't miss a single second of how any of this split plays out. Now, like I said, we've got a little bit of time before our next region, so while you're waiting, go play some Apex, test out what you've seen some of our pros doing here, and see if any of those strats help you climb that ranked ladder. We'll see you right back here at NA just a little bit.
We playing the highs and leaving the lows.
Popping off with the Mozambique.
To run.